better than be in frame.
You're live. Here we are. Welcome back, everybody. Thursday. Today's Thursday, right? Thursday.
I don't know, man.
We're here back here in the warehouse. You might have joined us on Monday. You might not have. You might have joined us on Friday too. If you are,
chances are, statistically speaking, a lot of people watch that stream, so probably.
Yeah, there's a good chance. So welcome back if you're coming back. Welcome if you're just coming and joining us for the first time. Knifewear is, we sell Japanese kitchen knives. A lot of them are handmade. A lot of them are amazing. All of them are wicked. Nathan and I have been doing this for a long time here. Both of us busted out of kitchens to come work at this knife shop. And we've been here ever since, and I don't think either of us are going anywhere. But
I hope not.
Garage Sale is this fun thing we do in the spring and in the fall, where, you know, Naoto is a guy who does lots of purchasing. Kevin, who owns a joint, he goes to Japan a lot. And they both come back with buckets and knives that we, you know, didn't plan on seeing. So we figure out ways to get rid of them.
Sometimes that bucket of knives shows up late.
Yeah, like we got this pile of stuff that showed up late. So we got some cool stuff here. There's still some stuff left in the sale. Yeah, Garage Sale, we kind of blow this stuff out. It's a twice annual sale, and it's been super fun so far.
And it's online at knifewear.com. There should be a link down below if I did my job right. But you can also shop in our retail stores in Toronto, Ottawa, Vancouver, Calgary, and Edmonton, where we have more or less the same selection. Give or take a few.
I was down there this morning. I was at the shop in Calgary here this morning for several hours, just hanging out. There's definitely some really good stuff left. Like, first of all, there's Gihei, Hap 40, 210 Gyutos, and those are boring looking knives. I'll be honest with you, it's got like a handle and a blade, but Hap 40 is anything but boring. It is probably one of the hardest wearing, longest lasting steels.
Yeah, real plain Jane, but cuts like a friggin' lightsaber.
This is the Hayabusa.
Oh, it's the Hayabusa.
They have the Giheis.
Right. Okay.
Nice. So anyway, they had some ZDPs. They still have got lots of the Tojiro single bevels, which are smoking good deals.
Those are really, and they're really cool looking.
Couple
too.
Tsunahisas left, but so we've got some cool stuff left. We're going to do our normal thing where we're just going to run through stuff. We're going to yammer on a bunch, and when you interrupt with questions, Jacob's going to fire them over to us. We also would love to hear stories. How did it go for you?
Yeah. Did you get your knife already? Some people got their knife on Tuesday that shopped online. Mostly people in the States.
Matt actually just said that he just picked up his Yoshimune Nikiri that he bought on Monday, and it's in Sweden already.
Oh,
wow.
Jeez.
Holy. That's because
awesome.
Nolan built a teleporting thing over there. It's behind all the barbecues. He teleports knives to other places. And after this week, I might teleport to Sweden too.
It's really hard on the power bill.
Right? So, what was I going to say? I forgot already. Never mind.
Yeah,
carry on.
We're here. We're talking about stuff. It's been a really busy week for us, so we might be a little more tired and casual than usual. Pop your questions in chat. Please keep them lowball questions, because Mike and I are not the steel experts that Naoto is. So we'll give you an answer. It might just not be the right one or a good one.
Oh, we can fake it like the best of them, but, you know.
Yeah.
We'll do our best.
But yeah, if you do have questions that are not specific to the garage sale, you want help with knives, you want help with knife skills, you want help with knife sharpening, food, cooking, whatever. Mike and I both cook a lot, and you can see some of our cooking videos on the channel.
Listen, before we talk about these Brightos that just showed up, do we want to talk about the elephant in the room?
The very small elephant in the room. All right, let's do top down for this guy. Do it justice. So, if you follow us on Instagram, you might have seen this guy already in our posts today and yesterday. This is a hand-forged letter opener from Masashi Yamamoto-san. If you hung out on Monday...
It was hand-forged right there.
You would have seen our live stream where he forged this. We borrowed an anvil from a local knife maker, Hudson Torrens, and he brought a chunk of Damascus steel from Japan, and he forged this out, and then he even forged a tool to cut the steel. And then after that, he ground it on the sander and on a sharpening wheel and did some hand polishing to bring out the pattern a bit. And then he made a little paracord handle and even engraved his signature on it. So this is super cool. We're going to auction this off in a little bit here, but we're going to let some more people filter into the stream because I think it's barely 1 o'clock and we don't, we don't want to cheat people out of their chance to own this knife. This is going to be available by auction because we didn't know really another way to do it because there's only one of them.
Guaranteed there's someone out there on a Zoom call trying to wrap up a meeting with their boss to get to the stream so they can get in on this Masashi. And it's like, yeah, no, I got it. Yep, no, totally. Yep, got it. Okay, sure. Well, let's wrap this up. I think we're good here. You know, I'm sure that conversation's happening somewhere.
I've never had that meeting with my boss.
Yeah.
All right.
What?
Wasn't talking about you, Mike. All right, so this guy, woo, we can barely fit these on camera. So we got these, what are they called? These are from Kevin's trip to Japan. So Kevin goes to Japan every year, and if you've ever seen that video of Michael Jackson in like a very expensive furniture store, and he's just like, I'll have one of these and two of those, and he just buys the whole store. It's the same kind of thing. Kevin just goes in these blacksmiths workshops, busts in, and takes everything they have. Gives them money, obviously. And then he sends it back to Calgary for the garage sale.
This is the Brito M11 Pro 420.
So, Pro 420, eh?
Pro 420.
So a lot of knife makers have started hiding their stock, so Kevin can't steal it all. And so, would you mind just moving us down a little bit there, Jacob, on the picture-in-picture? And so, this is what wasn't hidden. This is these are some really great knives. I think Kevin bought the last of them from, I want to say Yamatsuka, but I could be totally wrong with that. It's the same folks that make the Tamahagane line. If you've seen those before, really great, affordable line of Japanese knives. Yeah, the Brito M11 Pro. Yeah, I love these little like mini Debas that they're making. Tiny little guys.
This is like a 70 mil Yodeba.
Yeah, they're double-sided too, right?
They have like a crazy hollow grind on them.
Oh, I didn't notice that before.
So I think, yeah, you could definitely use this on fish. I think you could reenact that scene from Goodfellas where they're using the razor on the garlic with this little guy.
Yeah.
The one where they're cooking with garlic, Nathan.
Not today, please, Mike.
Yeah. Listen, they're great. I mean, it's a solid blade. It's got a stainless steel handle, and there's a bit of a texture change there, but it's not a gap. Right, so there's no opening there. I'm sure
it's solid.
I'm sure it's welded in some form there, but there is no gap there. So it's not like any food could get in there. I think this would be really great if you're working on a professional fish station or meat station because, you know, oftentimes you've got lots of water going around. Having that stainless steel handle would be good. These nice long knives are amazing for things like carving. Of course, this thin little flexible slicer.
Show how flexible that is too. If you can show it from the spine.
And it stays straight. So if you want to become a hamonero, which is one of my life goals, I think when I get my 3-month paid leave, I think I'm going to go to Spain and take a course.
Go to ham carving school.
And be a ham carver for a couple months.
That's awesome. Wow, I really wasted mine. I just spent it with my family.
Yeah, right? Yeah, you know what? These are great knives. These are very serviceable knives. These are some gigantic bread knives. A 420 millimeter bread knife. That's like that. I believe 420 is exactly the short width of a commercial-sized baking sheet. Which means if you made a whole loaf of focaccia, right, in a commercial-sized baking sheet, you'd be able to cut it in half. Why would anyone want to do that? Because sometimes you do catering and you make sandwiches that way.
Because you want to make a baking sheet size muffaletta and eat it all yourself.
Yeah, exactly why. I really like this little guy. Like this little flexi. This is like wildly thin. And I don't know what I need it for, but it feels like I've got a kitchen needle.
That's the little utility. Yeah.
You know, like taking apart little fish, cleaning pork tenderloins, all that kind of stuff.
It'd be great for trimming.
You know, trying to get, like, when you got a round fish and you're trying to go down from the spine and in, like even something like a halibut, like that would be really excellent for that.
Yeah, ducks too, same kind of thing, like that weird angle on the breast.
Yeah. Well, and this is from the same place as Tamahagane, right?
Same maker, I believe.
Same maker, yeah.
So
Karaoka.
Really reliable.
I met him several years ago We had a really awesome visit. He's very high tech and very into the science of what he's doing. He's pretty casual about what he's doing. He's just running a business.
Yeah.
But one thing that was really cool that he did for us is he actually took a knife and broke it.
Oh, really?
And then he did a Vickers test. So he did the Vickers test on the core steel, and then we converted it and did a Rockwell hardness test.
Oh, cool.
Like he's got all that equipment there
Wow.
in his like little lab.
Jeez.
So getting to watch that, it was just like super cool, super cool.
Yeah, I like when they take the scientific approach, because it's, you know, it's good to know that the way they've been doing things for hundreds of years is good and works for a reason. It's also good to know that they're sometimes updating them and bringing in new ideas, as opposed to just keeping things always the way they always have been.
Yeah.
I'm going to get these guys out of here. Some of these are already sold out. This isn't even all the sizes we got. I didn't even announce them. People just went online and found them and bought.
Scavenging.
Sold a bunch of them out. So
Super.
Definitely get them while you can. Today, like I said, we've got this one-of-a-kind, extremely one-of-a-kind, hand-forged letter opener from Masashi Yamamoto that he made on our live stream on Monday. So that's going to be available in the next little bit here. We're going to sell it on the stream, so stay tuned.
We're gonna have like a little live auction. We'll be like a bit of a rodeo for a minute. I think we'll figure this out. But
Yeah.
it was very cool. Masashi, he came in on Saturday. He visited this event that we like to do here in Calgary called the Terroir Symposium, which a bunch of chefs get together and get into the details about food and where it comes from and how you do it and businesses, and it's really cool. So he showed up and he did his talk about the sharpness, taste of sharpness. He loves talking about how the edge of your knife actually affects the flavor of food. But he also showed up with some tools and a hunk of Damascus steel. And yeah, we borrowed a forge. We had a young blacksmith who works here in Calgary come down with some of his tools. And just over here, Masashi-san forged this knife.
It was awesome.
Now, if you do want to go back and check it out, our stream from Monday is up and kind of getting close to the hour mark of number 4.
Yeah.
Around
That's when he
hour number
started.
4, if you start scrolling through, you can catch up to it. And it's quite like it's the whole process. It's him forging, and then it goes into our friend Hudson doing some forging, and then we have got Masashi-san who is grinding the knife down and just.
And he was nice enough to answer
building
questions from probably most of you who are watching today throughout the whole process too. So a good chance to learn about his knife making and his approach and kind of get some word straight from the horse's mouth. Oh, hey, we were supposed to talk about something up front as well. This is our buddy Dean. He managed to snag one of the Masashi Sasquatches on Monday. But he also really wanted us to talk about this knife. It's really special to him. And I think he's got another one on the way. This is the Masatani Kosantoku. He just asked if we would talk about it a little bit on stream so he could get some more info on it. So Masatani, their workshop, they're in Takafu, right?
They are.
And they're very focused on providing really beautifully handmade knives, really excellent quality, at a price that's, you know, accessible to anybody, really, any kind of home cook. And so they make like these stunning, look at that, like
Yeah,
gorgeous layers on the edge there, nice hammered texture, really beautiful shiny finish.
Like I think this is the VG10 one, and I think it's $140 or something. This size
Really
and shape is
smooth
such a
with handle.
wicked size and shape. I like this size and shape for people, you know, when you find someone you want to get them a nice knife, and you know that all they've ever used in their kitchen was never anything bigger than a 3-inch paring knife.
Yeah.
Like they buy the 5-pack from Superstore and that's how they live. This is a huge upgrade for that person. Makes it an amazing gift.
I'll be honest, I've always been a really big knife person, and since owning something in a similar size in my home kitchen, I now use this quite a lot. Because sometimes I'm just lazy. I just don't want to bring up my big knife. Maybe it's because it's carbon steel, maybe it's because I'm in a hurry. Maybe it's because I know I'm not going to clean it and it's just going to sit on the cutting board. And I need something that
It's
you
just
know
nice
isn't
and
going to get
compact.
grabbed by a kid or a dog off the table. It's a phenomenal little blade. Well, I hope you enjoyed, Dean. I hope you enjoy your Sasquatch as well. And yeah, thank you so much for your support and for shopping during the garage sale. Better make sure this care letter gets back in the box though. So we had some questions here. John May, thanks for tuning in again, John, and thanks for all your guest moderating on Monday. I wasn't kidding about buying you a case of beer, so if you want one, let me know next time you're coming to the Calgary store. John May, can we switch cameras there, Jacob? Says, when does Yoshizawa-san start working on the blades at Nigara? And I'm not entirely sure what you mean, as in like time of day or...
What part of the process?
Oh, what part of the process? From layering the steel. He personally, when it comes to forging, he works on the fancier knives from Nigara. They have kind of their like core lines that are the center of their business that allow them to operate and put out a really great product into the world, and that's their VG10, their SG2, and their Aogami Super lines. And there's a bunch of variants on those now. And so when he's forging knives, he forges the Anmon, the Troll Killer, and all of those really, really crazy artistic blades that we often get during the garage sale. We didn't get any this time, but we did have some when he visited Calgary. Not sure if he made it to that, John, but so he forges that really, really fancy stuff that kind of starts at $1,000 and beyond. I don't know if you have any of those in your collection, but they're pretty cool. And so he starts with a big stack of steel, hammers it down. The blades that he was working on at the demonstration in Calgary are a really good example of that. And yeah, that's really what he enjoys most. He enjoys the whole process, but forging that crazy layered steel is his bread and butter. Got another question here, not sure who it's from there, but somebody's asking about tumbler knife sharpeners. My first recommendation is go watch the video where Tiffany and Naoto compare them to whetstones, because we have somebody who's kind of an expert level knife sharpener and somebody who's a pretty beginner knife sharpener. Both try them out and see, kind of following their directions, which one works better. Spoiler alert, they prefer the whetstones. We prefer whetstones in general because they have a lot more flexibility in terms of how you can sharpen, what grit, what kind of knives you can sharpen, whether or not you can thin the blade, all these things. If you're looking at a really simple solution, maybe you have dexterity challenges that don't allow you to use whetstones, the tumbler is fine, but it is, I'll be honest, a pretty, not cheap because it isn't an inexpensive product, but it is a cheap quality knockoff of the Horel 2 from Germany. It's the same thing, except the Horel 2, which I've also held in person, they sent us a sample, is a much better product. So if you're looking at that kind of thing, do a bit of research and check out that brand, because it's way better. Who else we got there? Oh, what do we got?
Well, kind of. We have a question of Hado Shiosai Kiritsuke 210 versus the Kobayashi Damascus 210. We haven't got the Kobayashi Damascus 210 in the warehouse here.
We have two guys behind the camera who are extremely big fans of Kobayashi, though.
But I've got the one that's not Damascus, so we can at least have a facsimile to talk about. You just have to imagine the Damascus. Maybe we can put some graphics. Do we have a Damascus graphic that you can just put over top of this knife?
Just like a green screen effect.
Yeah, right.
Like the puppy dog filter on Instagram.
So there is quite a difference between these two. They are made from the same steel. They both have octagonal handles. So that means they're both SG2, which is a powder stainless, which is really amazing at staying sharp. The Hado knife is always about taking the grind to like the highest level you can take it. So you've got incredibly thin, lots of core steel exposed, super fine ground, very perfectly ground.
Take a look at these.
And then the Kobayashi is similar in the way that it's very even and very perfect. It's just definitely not as thin. There's a little less core steel exposed. So I would say that the Hado would have some higher performing in the terms of its finesse abilities, where the Kobayashi would excel in the kind of like ride it hard, put it away wet kind of capabilities.
Yeah, and like, you know, we were saying the other day how like the hardness of steel isn't the only thing that affects how long it stays sharp, right? I really love my Hado knife, but I find because they get that very edge really thin, it doesn't stay sharp quite as long as my other knives made of the same steel, and that's fine, right? Like, you know, different tools for different jobs. You can always sharpen it a little more to make the edge a bit thicker. Yeah. But the Kobayashi, being made from the same steel of the two, is probably going to keep its edge a touch longer.
Yeah, and keeping in mind the way that a knife dulls the most is when you're jamming it into your cutting board. So using an end grain wood cutting board like the large wood boards we have is the best thing to use.
Not like doing really heavy chopping.
Yeah, but
like,
it is
like
how
I get
you
into that
use
sometimes.
it too, right? Like,
absolutely.
If you're banging your knife on the cutting board versus being like a monk and like very gently slicing through it, that can also, if you're very, very gentle with a knife, then the Hato's an amazing place to go. And if you want to just like hammer stuff out, that Kobayashi is a great place to go.
I'm more in the hammer stuff out category myself.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I know Jacob behind the camera is a huge fan of the Kobayashi and kind of just compares everything else to it. Somebody else was asking about interesting 210 millimeter Kiritsukes, and that Hato is definitely an interesting 210 millimeter Kiritsuke. But I figured I'd show off this guy too. There's always stuff that I'm surprised we still have in stock by this point in the garage sale, and this guy is one of them. If I'm being honest, I don't remember the name of this line, but it is a brand new one from Hato. I know it's inspired by the sound of the ocean, which is why they put this beautiful blue handle on there. Got really nicely grained wood with blue dye, but you get some of the original wood color poking through. It's really cool. Whoop, too close. Yeah, those are gorgeous. Those two Hatos, if you want a great 210 Kiritsuke, would be a great choice, as well as the Nigara VG10 Damascus line. I think I'm going to get one of those for myself in the 240 size. And then finally, the Kurosaki Gecko. That's the Gecko, right? Kurosaki SG2 with this custom handle.
That's such a cool knife.
Bananas. Woo! I am also surprised we have this one still.
Handle.
Me too, man. The turquoise and the orange in there, like, woo!
I might buy that if you guys don't.
Yeah. It reminds me of that Tame Impala album cover. Oh, look at that shape. Just so cool. I haven't seen a knife this cool in a while. It's friggin' awesome.
It looks fast.
It looks fast.
It looks fast.
Feels fast.
It's got racing strength.
Yeah, it sure does. All right, what do you got there, Mike?
Well, I can only imagine that this person is looking to talk about Teneguis. I grabbed one. We don't have many left here. They're all in our stores. Tenegui is this really amazing piece of fabric that we can use for things like wrapping gifts like knives. We also have the larger version. That's like 30 centimeters by 30 centimeters, like a square meter of fabric. What's this one called again?
Furoshiki.
Furoshiki.
Yeah, it's like a thicker, I think they're both made out of cotton, but this
Yeah.
one's a heavier duty.
Yeah. So for our request here, I imagine this is for some sort of reenactment of a music video based off of the fact that your name is Orinoco Flojo. So I can only imagine these streaming off in the distance as we listen to Enya.
As you're like by the shore, just like with your arms out.
Yeah.
And
It's just like,
can we switch
in the
cameras there, Jacob?
wind.
That is really important.
right?
Yeah.
Ah, very Nathan. So
That was important.
that was very important.
Yeah, Enya's always important.
That is important. So this is just a really great thin piece of cotton. It's good for so many things. You can wrap it around your head. I often take one hiking. You can use it in your kitchen as a cloth. It is just plain cotton, and the dye is not going to impact how absorbent it is. They're nice for polishing
I know,
wine glasses.
Owen in Vancouver, as a fellow perspirator, often wears one of these around his head when he's sharpening.
Yeah.
It gets pretty hot and humid in Vancouver. And this is great for catching sweat, for cleaning up in your kitchen, wiping your knives down.
The larger ones are really cool. There's actually a picture where you can, from the Japanese Minister of the Environment, that you will see all these different ways that you can fold it to turn it into a bag or whatever. But
Yeah, it's like this multi-purpose piece of fabric that, it's like
Yeah.
you can tie up all your belongings, put it at the end of a stick. You can like put a couple of wine bottles in it. You can.
But
wrap
you know
up
what the
a
worst
gift.
part about Christmas is when at the end of the morning is you just fire a bunch of paper that's been used once, that is very expensive, is
Yeah.
glossy, and you probably can't recycle it,
Yeah.
into a garbage bag and throw it away. If you use this piece of cloth, you can save it, wrap another gift in it, and the person you give it to could do the same thing. So it's just nice.
That was the worst thing about becoming a dad. Is my first Christmas morning as a dad, I just suddenly had this garbage bag in my hands and just like was possessed with the need to go around and throw everything into the garbage bag.
Yeah.
It's the worst part of Christmas. All right, let me show you how to use one of these.
Being a dad would be diapers.
No, they're fine. All right, Top down, Jacob. Let's show how these things work. So we got, ooh, yeah, okay. Can I zoom out here? Nope.
Leave your face cam off so you can actually see.
Okay, so here is part of the fabric. It's pretty big. This is the middle. So we're going to take our beautiful Nigara Damascus Gyuto that you bought your, I don't know, somebody for Christmas. And we're going to just fold the tenugui over. And then we're going to keep it not too tight, but nice and snug. And just kind of pull as we go. So knife box is down here. I haven't done this for a while, so it's probably going to look ugly, but basically you just kind of pull it in so it stays nice and snug, and then roll it carefully. Boom, 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 like so. And then you grab either end and kind of just like scrunch it a little bit. And then you tie a square knot. And there you go. How cool does that look? And you can just tuck this corner in underneath. Look at that. That looks so much better than just regular old holiday gift wrap. Sounds like we're getting a delivery. There you go. That's why you need a tenugui, or several this holiday season. All right, what's up next, Mike?
We have a question about Hado B1 Gyuto. Hey, I'm Vince. I'm looking
Vince.
around for a Hado B1. Haven't got it.
What about this one?
Oh! Well, I didn't look on that cart.
Well, what the fuck, Mike?
I know. What a loser. And then we have those two questions, and I think you need to go hunting for those, unless we just want to talk about it instead of look at them. Now, Hado. These guys are incredible. They are sharpeners. They get blacksmiths to make the blades for them. I forget who it was that made this. Was it Tanaka? Sometimes they don't tell us who made it because it can be a secret.
Yeah, I believe the sumi's all made by Yoshikazu Tanaka-san, who is
that's what it looks like.
really good at forging knives.
He's quite incredible. So blue #1 is a steel that's blue carbon steel, high carbon content, difficult to forge because your forging window, I believe, I might be wrong, is very tiny. But what you have is a steel that's incredibly hard and very sharp. And this is clad with some Damascus steel, which just like really steps up the game here with the Hado stuff. But look at the bevel. Look at that bevel. That is bananas. It's so tall. When you're going to cut, it's going to just gradually taper and open up. It's got dust on it. This makes me unhappy.
Bevel is bananas.
B-E-V-E.
We were also talking about things that we're surprised are still left in the garage sale. We have like 4 custom handle knives left still. This Hado Blue One Damascus is one of them. This is a very tough knife to get. It's their newest series. They're just not making a lot of them because they have limited production, and this is even more limited. And so for us to still have one of these in stock is pretty wild.
I will say, from what you can see on screen here, and your screen might be different than mine, what I'm looking at in my hand seems more green than what I'm seeing on the screen, which seems more blue, kind of purple to me. This knife handle is blue-ish, but more green-blue. Aquamarine, turquoise, teal. What color is green-blue?
I would call that Enya blue, I think.
Enya blue. Wow. All right, we're going to leave that one.
All right. Somebody's asking about Santoku recommendations. I'm guessing maybe it's their first Japanese knife. Maybe they're buying a gift for somebody. But I kind of pulled out a wide variety here.
You have covered all of the bases inside of 3 knives. That's true.
Nailed it.
Okay.
On purpose.
Sunahisa, need you go. Sunahisa, when we say that, that's a great company we get tons of knives from for the garage sale. They're 20% off, so incredible value. They're kind of a factory-made knife. They're a Japanese knife, for sure. They're incredibly well put together.
They are, in fact, from Japan.
And
just like simple, elegant, 116 Canadian bucks.
yeah, it fits
That's
the
like
bill.
20 American dollars.
If you're trying to start out, like it might be 18 by the end of this conversation, to be honest with you. This is a great knife, and if you just need a knife to cut food, listen, like a VG1 Tsunehisa knife is probably a better quality knife than what most people will ever own in their entire lifetime.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely fantastic knife. Nice option. I like the detail here where they kind of cut away the back of the handle, giving you just a little spot for your finger. It's comfortable. Now we've got a Murata. This guy's a very cool old blacksmith, full carbon steel, and what we're looking at I would say is just a super traditional looking Japanese knife that's made by a blacksmith who probably has a shop next to his house, basically working out of his garage, leaving the Kurochi here, this black finish. That's just the forged scale from making the knife. And he's using this blue #1 steel. We just mentioned that about the Hado blue one. It's not often we see blue #1. It provides you with a very, very sharp, very good edge retention knife. This knife is not stainless steel whatsoever.
It's the opposite.
Several of the things that we carry are not stainless steel. While we do have incredible stainless steel options, people tend to like carbon steel for its sharpness. People who don't like carbon steel think it's dirty because it gets water spots and it patinas and it gets rusty. And if you like things like old leather jackets and old cars and records, then I think you might like this. If you're well versed in caring for something like a cast iron pan and you love it and you don't mind that process of caring for something, then totally look into carbon steel knives.
It's a very similar level of care. Less than people think, but you gotta be on top of it.
Yeah, and if in the back of your mind right now you're thinking like, but can I put it in the dishwasher? The answer is always no, stainless or not stainless. But if you're thinking, can I put it in the dishwasher? I would say aim over towards stainless steel, which we have this really amazing stainless steel right here. This is called VG10. We see VG10 on a lot of Japanese kitchen knives. It's a steel engineered in Japan to make knives. It's stainless, and it gives you this great point of being sharp but tough. I mean, we always talk about toughness and brittleness and hardness and sharpness. What we're really getting down to here is that you can use a Japanese kitchen knife to cut food in your kitchen, and it will be an incredible experience. You will love it. You will want to cook more, and it will feel amazing as you cut. And it will often stay sharp for a longer time. And in fact, it will feel much sharper than what you're used to using. The thing is, you can chip it. If you try to cut coconuts, stems of flowers, go gardening, use it like a pry bar, scrape down your cutting board. Those kind of things will be really unfriendly to your knife, and you'll see it chip. It's not the end of the world. Bring it to us. We can sharpen it and remove the chips, but it's not what you want to do. But yeah, VG10 is a stainless steel designed to be a kitchen knife, and it's fantastic.
I can't say anything better than you did. That's perfect.
That one's layered
you
with brass and copper, so it also is incredibly beautiful. One of the things that's cool about Japanese knives is it's not just one piece of steel that's like rolled out and chopped out like a cookie. It is often 3 layers of metal. So there's a soft layer on the outside and a hard layer in the middle. And one of the things about that soft layer is that it allows them to put texturing on the face of the blade quite easily. So when you're cutting with it, I mean, it breaks up surface tension kind of like tread on a tire. Makes it a little bit easier and glide through. They do that primarily so it protects that super hard core, but yeah. I could carry on, so I just stopped myself there. If you want to know more, we can talk more. But we want to answer John May's question here. John May has asked about doi knives. We have a couple dois right here from the Homura Guren series. These are beefy boys. I think, very few things ever look this way. So it's very unique. And by that I mean the profile of the blade is very unique. It's a solid feeling knife. It has a really nice convex grind on the blade. So as to say that there's a gentle taper from the top of the grind continuously down to the edge. That gives you some strength. It's kind of like the shape of a bullet. So while it's nice and fine and pointy, the steel that's right sort of behind it is not terribly thin, so you get some toughness out of that. I love the way he pulls the spine, the choil forwards, giving you a little bit more clearance for your hand. You're not covering up as much of the edge, making it quite practical when you're cutting. This is Aogami number 2. This guy's incredible as a forging blacksmith. I got to visit him. He comes from a very famous family. His father, I believe the story goes, was one of the last blacksmiths making knives in Japan that had been a sword maker previous to the Second World War. After the Second World War, that sword making more or less ended as they demilitarized, at a practical level. And so a lot of those guys shifted into kitchen knives, as his dad did. And his dad was incredibly famous for being able to temper steel perfectly just by eye, just by using the color of the steel. They work in a really dark workshop. They get the steel to a certain temperature, and then they just, through knowing, they watch it, and then they know when it's ready. We got to talk to him, and it was also very cool. One question we had while we're talking with him and a young blacksmith that he had was, how do you, we heard that you leave your knives for a year after you forge them. Why do you do that? And he said, I do that because if I straighten them out after I forge them, they can bend back. So if I wait for a year, I take them and I straighten them out, and then I sharpen them, they don't bend back. And we asked him why, and he said, I don't know. That's what my dad told me.
Because?
Right, and it was really that super long lineage of just tradition, and the fact they just know somehow, right? And the cool thing that was kind of inspiring, and we saw this in a lot of places in Japan, was that there's a new generation of blacksmiths who aren't there because it was what their dad did and their grandfather and their great-grandfather. It's not just because they're there. It's because they want to be there and they're genuinely interested in what they're doing. And so this young guy turned to us and explained the chemical or the crystal structure of the steel of the martensite and the austenite and the retention and this and this.
Why.
And he explained it why. And the old guy was like, yeah, what he said. And he's like, but it just because it's what happens.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just make the knives.
Yeah, exactly. So he's a legend, and it was very cool.
Yeah. We also had a question there from, you got to it. There we go. Terminator. Natural stones. These are the wrong people to talk about natural stones.
Naoto is not here to tell you about these stones.
He is driving Masashi-san to go look at pigs and dinosaurs.
What I can tell you about natural stones, having used them, is they do a couple of really amazing things. They give you an edge on your knife that feels incredibly different than a manufactured stone. From the kind of reading and looking that I've done, it's like compressed flakes of material as opposed to trapezoidal kind of abrasive particles. So the way they scratch the steel is different, and it leaves a different feeling edge. So when you cut through food, it feels different. And it feels really, really, really smooth in a way. Sort of hard to explain a feeling. Something that's nice about these, I know when they're categorizing them, how flat it is and how rectangular, how flat it is and how rectangular it is, changes the value of it. So these being quite rectangular and quite even and quite flat make them incredibly nice because they're going to sit flat. Often you want to use these with Nagura stone to create that slurry. And when you hear about this concept of leaving the slurry on the stone, and as it breaks down, it becomes finer, that, you can kind of see some effects like that when you're using a manufactured stone. But that's definitely true when you're looking at something like a natural stone. You just use them with water. These are finishing stones. And they're mined in Japan, usually around the Kyoto area. So there's the Shohon Yama and the Nakayama. Yama is mountain, Hon means true. So these must be truly from Mount Hon.
That sounds,
Right? How's my...
El Authentico.
El Authentico. 60-3, 60-5. This is the Maruka Nakayama Type 60. If you're looking online, please, Charminator, you might even know more than I do about these. I'd be happy to know what specific questions you'd like to know, or if you just want to look at them. I do like this one. It's got this little kind of waviness in it. It's hard to say without using them what they're going to do, but these darker ones I often find from use to be harder. The lighter sort of amber color feels like they break down a little bit faster. But I don't know if that's correlated to the color or if it's just the experience I've had using them. These will likely still be here by the end of tomorrow, and if we need to get you more questions, just send us an email.
Yeah,
We'll get
Naoto can actually
Naoto on
tell
the
you
case
stuff.
to give you like valuable information.
Because they'll know things like, oh, this one's only used for straight razors, or this one's good for getting a Kasumi finish, or
Yeah.
that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, people do really get into them for doing the finishing on the blade and the surface of it. Not so much for the edge sharpening, but. Well, let's look at more big knives.
Yeah. Somebody's asking about the Masashi Meguro Bocho. That is not in the warehouse. That's somewhere in one of our stores.
It's in Toronto.
It's in Toronto.
Yeah. JTAV, is that somebody?
Okay.
I believe that Masashi Meguro Bocho that's in Toronto is a 550 millimeter
Okay.
blade.
So basically, everything we're going to say about this Meguro Bocho, if you want to think about the Masashi, just imagine, but better. Whatever this is, the Masashi one's better.
That guy is such a perfectionist. We even had, so we have this like demo when we're at Terroir.
Yeah.
You weren't there. And he walks up and looked at a knife out of the corner of his eye, saw the Mizaki,
Yeah.
saw that it was bent, because I think I crushed a clove of
that's what
garlic
he
or
was
something
doing.
one time, and he picked it up and straightened it. Like he could not let it
And
be.
it was laying flat. Like he would, like a normal human would not have known it was bent.
No, it was like in his brain. There's like Terminator level, like sort of like heads-up display radar, and he's just like bent knife, bent
Yeah.
knife.
And,
So
and yet he's like one of the chillest, nicest people that we've had the pleasure of hosting. He's so lovely.
yeah, strangely, people who are really good at what they do often tend to be chill and nice. Hey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Meguro Bocho, as you may or may not know, is like a sword-sized knife. Now, we're using these for cutting whole tuna. And by we, I mean you, and by whole tuna, I mean that's what they're designed for. So it's very long, very big handle. You can use two hands on it. This is actually kind of a shorter one. They get much bigger as the fish get much bigger, and even get to a point where they are used with like a person holding the tip of the knife. And of course, tuna is just a giant fish. And if you ever catch one, you'll probably need one of these.
Or you can, you ever watch POV Dad on Instagram? He started like 9 months ago, but he's at like millions of followers now. But he does like
I don't know.
he does like restaurant experiences, but just at home for his wife. So he'll do
Oh,
like
yeah?
crazy Brazilian barbecue and like slicing all the meats off the rack. But it's just for him and his wife, and they're like baby. And he recently did a video where he bought a whole tuna, and some guy came and taught him how to like break it down and stuff. And then he made like a really fancy tuna sushi service.
Some
So
people
it
have
was pretty
different
awesome.
grocery budgets than
So
you and
well,
I.
he started off like broke, and he just started doing these like really casually, and now he's.
Why
got,
am I
like,
not doing this
now
shit
he's-
on YouTube?
Now he's got big tuna money.
Wait, I am doing this on YouTube. Wait, what's happened?
We should get a tuna sometime, with that YouTube ad money.
Oh yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah. Also, sometimes you can use a Meguro Bocho to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or segment an orange. If you want to see that, go check out the Knifewear Instagram and TikTok. It's in there somewhere.
I know that was for you.
Should we hold on? Should we talk about? Should we
Oh,
auction this?
that's a good
Is
idea.
It time?
Let's
Is it
get-
time?
let's get that
Let's
out
show
there.
this knife off. Okay, guys. So, if you just tuned in, this is the Knifewear Garage Sale late arrival and wrap up live stream. The sale runs November 4th to 10th in store in Toronto, Ottawa, Vancouver, Calgary, and Edmonton, and online at knifewear.com. But every year we do a series of live streams, one the Friday before, one the first day, the Monday, and then one today on Thursday. And on Monday, we did a few hours of questions and helping people shop, and then we switched over to having Masashi Yamamoto, master blacksmith from Sanjo, in the studio, or should I say warehouse. And he forged a knife. He brought a chunk of Damascus steel, or layered steel from Japan, and he forged it out from just a blank to, well, not even a blank, just like a billet of steel into this beautiful letter opener. He ground it, he shaped it, he like smoothed out the spine and everything, polished it up to bring out that Damascus pattern a bit more, and did a paracord handle. So we're going to auction it off now. Should we do it now?
Nolan said do
Wait.
it now.
Wait a little bit? Okay. Why? Do we have lots of questions?
There's a few questions, and then and somebody just asked, what are the dimensions of the letter opener?
Oh, huh.
Super what?
What, you can't just tell? Like, okay, it's that big.
Subtract Nathan's hand.
Fine. And this is truly a letter opener. This is softer steel, and it doesn't have a core. So I wouldn't be using it for like heavy prep in your kitchen. Like it is a letter opener.
It's big enough for most letters,
and or
I would say.
ceremonial knife. It's just shy of 130 millimeters, maybe 128 millimeters.
How big is it
length.
overall?
Overall? God, you guys are so demanding.
It's not them. Don't blame them. It's just me.
Overall is just shy of 270 millimeters, 27 centimeters, or in freedom units, that would be about 10.5 inches. Blade length is about about 5 inches blade length. It's pretty thick, right? He wasn't forging out like a super skinny blade. Thickness of the heel is right about 5 millimeters. Up close to the tip, tapers down. He did forge in a distal taper.
I have this weird thing
about
where
2 millimeters down at the tip.
He's very particular about the products that he makes, the knives he makes, and what they're used for, and he builds them exactly for that purpose. So he made it beautiful and sharp, and then he made the edge kind of dull and rough. And he said because when you actually open a letter, you don't want it to be too sharp, or else you won't cut along the fold. You'll just cut through the paper. You know, like when your knife's...
And maybe your mail too, which I've done.
Right, like you know when you cut a piece of salmon, you try to skin salmon, and your razor sharp knife just busts through the skin, and now you're super angry. So I'm really tempted to actually sharpen this just a little bit more.
I think if you buy it, you get to choose.
But you get to do what you want. We're just going to leave it the way he has intended it. And, but yeah, it's beautiful.
And he engraved his signature in there. And yeah, he did the paracord wrap himself, like very fast too. I didn't know he knew how to do paracord handles. But yeah, it turned out pretty awesome. What else would people want to know? I guess how heavy it is. Do we have a scale? Do you have a scale, Matt?
And it is carbon steel, right? So
Frisbee.
It's not stainless steel. So if you're thinking you'd take it on a boat or something, you know, whatever you're going to do, you should know that it is not stainless steel. It'd be pretty difficult to forge a stainless steel knife in this.
150 grams, which is like 5 ounces. Boom. Yeah, anything else anybody else wants to know before we give her?
Does it have a box?
Does it have a box? We will find a box.
Does it have a sheath?
Or we could wrap it up in a furoshiki or a thing.
Furoshiki sounds amazing. We do not have a sheath for it, for anyone who's asking.
Yeah. You know what, though? Making a leather sheath, I did it for the first time earlier this year.
Oh, did you?
Very easy.
Yeah, I've seen places you actually get like leather sheath kits.
Yeah. Tandy Leather has them.
Yeah.
You know, you can also go to a leather goods store and buy, you know, a knife, an awl, and some thread and some leather. And I did it myself for that knife I made with Chris Green. It's pretty straightforward.
Cool.
I would offer to make a sheath for this one, but all my stuff is packed because I'm moving. All right, what do you think, Jacob? Are we ready to go? Anybody? Any more questions in chat there?
How is the auction going to work?
We are going to do it in the YouTube comments. Just getting to that. All right. So, auction is going to start at $500. We'll go up in minimum $20 increments. You can type your bid in the chat, and whenever it stops, that is the person that wins.
Biddy bought her, bought a bit of bitter butter, put it in her batter, made her batter bitter. Biddy bought her.
You're so helpful, Mike. The winning bid will I'll get that person to email tv@knifewear.com and include a secret password.
What should they put in the chat?
Once I get the email, I'll tell you all, and then you can put your password that you included in the email in chat. But wait for me to say that. So that'll be the authentication word, basically. Because there's no way to send a direct message on YouTube, and Shopify doesn't have a way to auction stuff on our website.
So in the YouTube chat, you're going to start at $500, and then someone's going to go 501, and then someone's going to go 502.
No, they're going to go 520, and then 540.
Okay, and then 560, and then 580, and then at some point you're going to say stop.
Yeah, I'm going to stop once they stop.
No, once everyone agrees.
I'll do a going once, going twice. But there's like a 15-second delay on our stream, so that doesn't.
They're
minute
really Canadian dollars.
These are Canadian dollars. Yeah, free shipping.
Yeah, absolutely
Yeah,
free shipping. Yeah.
But if you are outside of Canada, you won't have to pay duties under $800 to the U.S. If it's over $800, you do have to pay duties. And if you're somewhere else in the world, you'll have to pay duties. If you're in France, they're pretty bad, and some other
they'll
countries.
rake you over the coals for those duties.
So just keep that in mind. You said duty.
And will you two be involved in the bidding?
Like, can we bid?
Yeah.
No. I just bought a new house, dude. I told Nolan he can bid because he's Nolan. But
Don't tell him that we're going to start it, though.
He's in the chat already.
Oh, Nolan! Secret squirrel.
but we will give him no advantage as an employee.
0 advantages. I guess, yeah, we can do that. There's a bunch of questions still that you guys have, I think.
Yes. Yeah, we'll get back to product questions after this. I just didn't want to make people wait too long because I've been teasing this all week. So, all right, we're ready to go? Okay, you can start bidding. $500 for this beautiful handmade letter opener.
Bids are open, everybody. $500. Do we have 520? 520. We have 520. I can't see the screen, so I don't know if anyone's putting anything in the chat. 520. I'm assuming it's higher.
All right.
It was a 15-second delay, so you're going to be doing this for a while.
520, 520, folks, 520.
For 520.
All right. Does anyone beat Nolan at 520? Can I hear 540?
Nolan,
540, folks.
the big hun.
That might just be Nolan. I mean, that's fine.
We got 540 for
Oh, Sean Marshall. Oh, David
600.
Severett, 600. Do I see here? 620, 620, anybody?
Handmade here in this warehouse by Masashi Yamamoto. I sound like the guy from Letterkenny.
620, Sean.
Oh, 620, Sean Marshall. Sean Marshall was 620.
Come on, Nolan.
Nolan. All right, it might be Sean Marshall.
Okay.
We can't really do it going.
Hold on.
We
Keep
can't really do
going.
it going once, going
We're
twice.
doing
'cause
a live auction. If you've just tuned in, this knife was made here on Monday in our warehouse on our live stream. It is on auction
Until
at
it's done.
this very moment. You can put in another bid,
Uh-huh.
$20 more than the last bid, in the chat.
If it's just Sean, though, that's this will be your last chance. Well, we'll give it another minute or so. This is the least. No. This is the least thrilling auction of all time, folks.
Well, why don't we add some questions and see what happens?
Oh, we got our guest mods. Hey, congrats on the new house, Orinoco Flojo. Such a great username.
It's actually one of my faves.
Yeah,
That's
that's one of the better ones. Yeah.
I think that's sold.
I think that's sold to Sean.
Okay, going once,
We already got it.
going twice.
Sold to Sean Marshall. Okay, Sean Marshall. Shoot me an email at TV, the letter T, the letter V, at Knifewear, KNIFEWEAR, like the name of the channel you are watching this on, .com. Congratulations. That's a sweet knife.
What do you want in that email?
Just send me an email, dude. But include a secret password that nobody else is going to guess. Once I get the email, I will announce that I got the email, and then you'll pop that secret password into the chat on YouTube, and that will confirm that you are in fact Sean Marshall.
Oh, not a bot trying to buy a knife.
I just thought, our viewers are pretty cool people, but somebody might swoop in there and try to, be an imposter.
Do you have the CAPTCHA to see are you real?
This is my high-tech version of CAPTCHA.
You do that. I want to talk about some great deal Nikiris.
All right, let's do that. Let's see these great deal Nikiris.
We got two that are very similar here, made by the same place. It's Hino Kuni Shirogami white carbon steel, full carbon steel. I believe these are from the island of Tosa. Is that the island? No, Tosa? Tosa's the area. Island is something else. Shikoku. So a beautiful, very rustic look and feel, hand hammered. This is like just a knife. This is a white number 1, which is quite hard, carbon steel knife. This is like pretty high performing, to be honest with you.
Sakai-san is super young too. He is.
Oh yeah.
Like we say, young blacksmith a lot, referring to guys in their late 40s, because a lot of the masters are way older than that.
Yeah,
but he's
late
actually
70s.
young. He's like maybe 30 now.
Oh yeah.
And he's forge welding the steel himself. He's doing it all. Like, he's very talented. And since we started carrying his stuff in 2020, he's like really jumped in.
They've gotten
skill
thinner.
level.
Yeah, and nice even bevel on both sides. So quite a nicely put together knife.
Sean Marshall, you can pop your secret password into the chat to confirm. I mean, your name says Sean Marshall, but you know, who knows if it's really you?
With the real Sean Marshall.
Please stand up.
Okay, next knife I got here for you is the Aogami number 2 and stainless steel cladding, so a little bit lower maintenance kind of business here. This is an Anru made by our friend Ikeda, and what a beautiful knife. Such deep hammering marks on it. It looks a bit like dragon scale kind of thing. Nice flare at the tang, so it's comfortable when you're holding it. You can hold a long time. Yeah, nice even grind on it. And yes, stainless steel cladding, carbon steel core, best of both worlds, performance all around. That's $254, unless whoever wrote this meant to write $234. I'm not sure.
That is my rating, so I think that is how my fives look.
$254 for a stainless clad Aogami core, like hand forged knife for $250. That's all kinds of value here. Now, this other one we've got is Wakui. We were pretty excited to also get one of Wakui's great products that he makes, crowbars. Comes from a family of crowbar makers. As you might guess, crowbar business, not what it used to be. So off he went to this great place called Yoshikane. Yoshikane is in Niigata and teaches a lot of people how to make knives. I love that they do that. Their knives are incredible.
And this one I think is scratch and dent too.
Yeah, and so we got a scratch and dent here from Wakui, which I'm not sure what the scratch or the dent is. There's like a bit of a scuff here, but not much.
That's all I could see.
So this is $276. It's beautiful, to be honest with you. It's nice and thin. It's lighter than the other ones we've just looked at. Beautiful taper from the back up to the front. Just nice and clean.
Yeah, it's marked down almost $75.
And yeah, it's scratched, but like.
Interrupted by Matt.
What's going on?
That knife, the Wakui, it's sold.
It's sold.
It's sold.
All right.
I'm sorry to tell you guys. It's a great knife.
I mean, they had 4 days to get it, so.
4 minutes.
What?
4 minutes.
4 minutes? Oh, it's been on sale since Monday.
So, Michelle Boudreau, if that helped, I hope. If not, say you suck and answer my question again. If there's something more particular you'd like to know, let me know. Do we have any other great deal Nakiris? I think the Tsunahisa Nakiris were all gone. Tsunahisa, TSU, Tsunahisa, it's such a great deal that we get them at the garage sale. They're 20% off. If you want something that's going to just serve as a really wicked knife, like I was saying earlier, quite likely better than what anyone would ever own in their entire lifetime, Tsunahisas are a wicked, wicked deal. Do I know the name of the person who made them? Nope. Are they made really well? Absolutely. Would I use one? 100%. I do every day. Okay.
Yeah, they're phenomenal.
Michelle's back.
Yeah.
Michelle's back. And the one with the sticker on it? What's the middle one? The middle one? Yes.
Hinokuni, it should be Hinokuni Sakai Chukabocho, 180 millimeter.
That shape's kind of cool. It is modeled after our traditional Chinese cleaver. Square tip, square heel, just like a rectangle that's been chopped up. It is a little bit thicker. It's pretty solid. It looks like Warikomi, so he's like split it open and dropped in the core.
Yeah,
the core comes
that's how
about
he does all of his
halfway up.
knives, I believe.
And the one thing I would say to keep in mind from my experience of using all sorts of different knives, when you got that really square tip, if you chop with this kind of like, how do I do this? You know, kind of rocking motion, you will find that tip will dig into your cutting board. This is more of the up and down with like sort of a backslide or a forward kind of chopping motion. Or if you got stones, you can round the tip out.
I did that with my Koishi Nikiri, which already had kind of a rounded tip, but I just rounded it out
Yeah,
more, and
right on.
It really helped, especially getting into onions and stuff.
HAP 40 and ZDP are steel types that are some of the hardest wearing, longest edge lasting, high tech, high function steels that are incredibly difficult to turn into a kitchen knife. I've got one here. This is the ZDP Gihei Zuika 210 millimeter Guto. I haven't got the HAP 40 Giheis, and I think in fact the HAP 40 that's at the sale looks like the Zuika, and I think the ZDP has a dark wood handle. I don't know if we can check what's on the sale,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
what I can tell you about HAP 40 and Giheis is this. We have a customer who has spent a lot of time buying knives with us, collecting, selecting, choosing beautiful works of art. And when I asked him one day what knife he used the most, he said, "Oh, I use my Gihei all the time. I use my Gihei every day because it's always sharp, it's always dependable, and I just love cutting food with it." So the Giheis are incredibly nice knives when it comes down to using them. They look very plain Jane, but they are using incredibly hard steel, hard wearing steel, so they don't go dull very quickly.
Just all about the performance.
It's all performance.
Yeah.
The downside is if you chip, they chip big, and when they chip, and you have to grind them away, and by you I mean probably one of us have to grind them away.
Make us do it, because you're not going to want
It really sucks. It is incredibly hard wearing, which is why it stays sharp for so long, which also means it's incredibly hard sharpening, because those two are the same thing. And if you do sharpen it, and you do have a ZDP or a HAP 40 steel, Kevin gave me the best advice once when I was first trying to do it. He said, "Have you spent at least 15 minutes on that 10,000 grit stone?" And I said, "No." He said, "Okay, well, talk to me after that, and if it doesn't scare you when you touch it, it's not done."
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Just keep going.
That is the ZDP. The HAP 40 has a really light, like a magnolia handle.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we got some. I might have lost my order here, but I'm gonna go with "It's My Knife." Not sure who this was for. It's my knife. It's now or never is a great, cool little gift, or just for fun. So it's a kit. You build it yourself. We've got two. We got a fixed blade here, and we've got a folder, right? I believe they're both like $70. It's a kit from Japan. So I'll open this guy up here, and what you get inside are the scales, which look like they're beechwood. We've got a blade in here. We've got little bits of sandpaper. You got your instruction manual, and then you've got some bits and parts to put it together. Our man Owen in Vancouver told me that he started by building the fixed blade kibori, and then he is now using that to carve the handles on his folding knife. So yeah, you take it and you shape the handle however you want, and you assemble it and you put it together. You know, maybe you got a couple of young people around at Christmas, or you and a nephew or somebody want to build something together. You want to spend some time. This would be kind of a fun thing to do during Christmas. Give you something to do while you're waiting for dinner. Yeah, kiboris. And yeah, we've got the two sizes. You get to carve the handles, sand it down, and then you get to assemble it. And let's just pop this guy open too. This is awesome. So this November is such a great time here at the garage sale, and we often find a lot of people showing up to buy Christmas presents. Yeah, this is the scales for the folding knife. And every year we start to see more and more people are also purchasing stuff for their group of people at work, buying Christmas presents. You know, if you ever did want to buy a bunch of stuff, we do have this package here. We do corporate gift guide stuff. So if you're looking to outfit a whole bunch of people at work with a bunch of knives, maybe you want to get your company logo engraved on it or something, just hit us up. You can connect with us at hello@knifewear.com if you want basically 10 or more of the same knife. We do some bulk discount kind of stuff, and we're always happy to set you up. We can get connected with an engraver here for you or not. But yeah, it's a good time to buy knives. It's Christmas. You know what? You don't hear this. I hear this a lot. People buy knives for others as presents, and those people inevitably come back to the shop and say they need their knife sharpened or want to know more about it. And I would say almost invariably those folks say, "This was the best knife we got for our wedding. This was our favorite Christmas present. I love these things." it's a thing that makes a difference in your life because it's just so good at what it does. And it's a thing that most people do. Cooking is a thing that we all kind of love to do or want to do or have to do. And this takes it to a next level for people. It gives people some inspiration to get into their kitchen and start getting into cooking. And yeah, I think that's a great
love gifts
reason.
that are equal parts fun and practical, because that's the kind of gift I like to get. And a good knife is fun and practical.
Sure is. And then when you go over to their house, you have something that's worth using.
That's half the reason I give people knives.
It's one of them. What's next? We got an Orinoco Flojo.
I love it. Keep asking questions, please, because then we get to say your username more.
Yeah, when you go for ice cream, do you get Orinoco Froyo?
Oh!
Right. Okay, let's talk about classic Sanjo shape of knife. All right. Let me get this in here. You're talking about it.
Oh, me? Okay.
Yep.
Was there more to this question? Because I am uncertain.
Well, I would tell you that they're thicker at the spine, typically. Yeah, and they have a tall
like the
bevel.
hallmarks of the Sanjo knife?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, Sanjo is a town in Japan in an area called Niigata. That's where lots of our knife makers are from, like our friend Masashi.
Pretty sure this guy's from Sanjo. Could be totally wrong.
One of the things we find is they make the spine of the knife thicker. They don't make the whole blade very thin. And often they will taper the bevel a fair amount, so what's behind the edge is quite thin. And then you get this real gradual feel as you're cutting through something dense like a squash. It just sort of gently spreads it open. I'm trying to look to see if we got more things like that.
What I learned that was really interesting was that Masashi's, I believe, father, might be grandfather, who used to run the workshop, who is the one that trained Masashi-san and his brother and all these blacksmiths like Mutsumi-san and Tomo-san and Wakui-san. Oh, if there's a Wakui around, that's from Sanjo. He's the reason why Sanjo knives have this distinct style.
Oh,
it's
cool.
not that is Sanjo's like signature style. It's that he made his knives that way, and so now all the like middle-aged blacksmiths that make knives in Sanjo make knives the way he made them, and that's now Sanjo style. It's crazy. It blew my mind.
Yeah, that's cool. Like, there's always fun stories. Like, Naoto loves to tell a story about why those Yanagibas have the tip cut off in Edo is because they were fighting with each other and they wanted to make it less dangerous.
Couldn't stab each other with a blunt.
Couldn't stab each other with a blunt knife. So yeah, they're often a little bit wider at the spine and then taper down nicely. This one I don't think is an amazing version of that. Like, I find the Tojiro Atelier is a really good version of that. Masashi's knives are really like that, where I like it. I mean, you get more weight in your hand. It's not like a light pencil weight feeling knife. It feels like that knife. And with that weight, I find when you get to things like a squash or a big potato or a sweet potato, like, really, it just will drift through as you cut something. Yeah.
Yeah, because it feels hefty, but it doesn't cut like a thick knife. And so, yeah, it just, like, drops right through the food.
Yeah, I remember taking one of these Tojiro Atelier Nakiris, and it was what was right beside me, and I had a squash, and I cut through it, and I was expecting to get halfway through and then have to shove it through the rest of the way, and it literally just fell to the table. And I was flabbergasted. Was I? I don't know. I was shocked. It was amazing.
Your flabbers were gasted?
Yeah. It's been a long time since then. And I can tell you, they're worth trying out. Okay, please let us know if there was more to that question.
We also had a question, don't know who from, but they were wondering about the Nigara SG2 Damascus Nakiri, which is a very unique Nakiri. Very cool. This might be my favorite Nakiri shape because it's not really a Nakiri.
Yeah, it's very square. It's very square with the cut-off tip. By square, I mean the edge is like pinned straight. Like, look at that.
Yeah, and it's like just nice and tall, and I don't know. It's a chunky boy. I like it.
Yeah, balanced pretty nicely too, right here, kind of right on the collar.
These handles can be really heavy, but because there's so much more steel up here, it kind of like evens out nicely.
Yeah, incredible. I do have a bunka from these guys with a similar type of handle. It is the SG2 steel as well, and I love using it. I use it every day. I thought it was going to be more delicate than it is. This is quite thin. The taper, like once you get to the end of the cladding, like the core steel that's exposed is very, very thin. So this would be an incredibly finesse knife, but you got some good weight behind you. And look at this beautiful, like turquoise-ish handle. Like, what a stunner. So I'm guessing since it says $708.80, $708.80, down from $886. Is this a scratch and dent? Is that what that means? Oh yeah, there's a crack in the handle.
There's a bunch of them that have like really subtle cracks. Just probably from, I don't know, humidity or, I don't know, not wood, but just like small imperfections that are hard to notice.
Yeah, it's like trying to find a crack in just like right here, there is a crack that goes all the way through the acrylic. And you know what though, there's nothing loose about it. Maybe one day if you dropped it on the handle here, you might find it will crack it off, but avoid doing that and you can have yourself an absolutely stunning knife.
Yeah, let's say crack is whack.
Oh, I think I'm going to say a falling knife has no handle.
They do say that, and that's a very smart thing to say. I was looking for the third knife. I don't think we have the Makoto Kurosaki Ryusei here to compare. I'm going to do one more lap just to make sure, but somebody wanted to compare that versus the Shiso Gyuto 240 versus the Yuki 240 Gyuto, and that was Brian Carvalho.
Oh wait, there's more. So, 240s are such fantastic knife shapes and sizes. It's the knife that really drives kitchens. It does everything. It's a size that has a nice length, can do pretty much everything you need to do, including cutting steaks, portioning meats and fish, cutting onions, brunoising shallots. You know, once you get comfortable with it, it becomes an extension of your hand. And a 240 Gyuto just has more edge length. Cutting bigger things makes it easier to drift and slide through foods, and it also seems to hold its edge longer, and I think that's because there's more edge. Now, both of these have similarities in their shapes. They're both clad with stainless steel on the outside, and they both have a carbon steel core type in the middle, so you will see tarnish and oxidizing and rust along the edge, and that's fine. If it ever gets really black, or you start to see it turning orange, scrub it back, break it back, like use just a little barkeeper's friend or something. You'll start it again, but that's fine, and it's pretty easy to maintain because it's not the whole blade, just the edge material. Now, they do have some other differences here. The Masakagis have some nice touches with this curvature here for your finger when you're holding it to rest. I'm holding it with my left hand, and that feels weird. They're a little bit taller Masakagis. Our blade profile is quite similar. Maybe there's a slightly different curvature to them, but I mean,
that's pretty close.
Hard to argue between the two of them there. The whole wood or the magnolia handle on the Yuki, it's nice and light, and it can stain a little bit. I do understand that this wood is apparently very good at being antibacterial, so that makes a good handle out of it. White carbon steel versus Aogami Super. There's a little bit of a difference. Like white carbon steel is iron and carbon. It's very pure. It's very nice to sharpen. It's very good at being sharpened. In fact, I think it's one of the sharpest things you can buy. It's a little finicky in some ways, especially when it comes to tarnishing. So what they did is they made Aogami Super, which is a little bit less reactive because there's a slight amount of chromium in it, and it's just a little bit less likely to chip. And some people really find it holds its edge an incredibly long time. By no stretch would I say it's difficult to sharpen, but I do think white carbon steel is the ultimate when it comes to sharpening and that sharpness. Functionally, these knives will do exactly the same jobs and in very much a similar way. The Masakagi grind does give you a thinner knife, especially behind the edge. Slight kind of a hollow grind feel where the Haruki Shiso has more of that taper, like constant taper. What are your thoughts?
And the third, well, I was just going to say, I mean, yes, that's my thoughts.
Yep.
I agree. The Makoto Kurosaki Ryusei, we don't have right now, but there's two of them. So there's one that's Algami super clad in stainless steel, which would be a very similar shape and profile to this. It's very, very similar with an octagonal handle like this and the same steel as this, so it's kind of right between the two. The other one's VG7, so if you wanted a lower maintenance option that was a little more durable than these two, VG7 is just a less hard stainless steel. It's going to be easy to take care of, a little bit tougher, be a little tougher on it.
The Ryusei does have that cool feature where instead of the choil or the back of the blade here kind of being 90 degrees to the handle, they angle it out a little bit, which essentially just shoves the knife a little further forward on the handle. So you get the same sort of balance, feel, and spot, but you're like often when you're holding a knife like this, you're actually holding and covering a little bit of the blade, where with the Ryusei, there's this sort of diagonal spot there. So you're not covering any of the blade with your hand. And I don't own one, I haven't used one, but I feel like that's a type of feature that when you look at, you don't really value, but after you own the knife for a while, you realize how nice it is to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if anyone's got one, I'd love to hear what you think about
it. Great. What else? Oh yeah, we just talked about this, but DNC had asked about the Tojiro Atelier, so we might as well talk about them a little more because they're really phenomenal blades. These are made by a blacksmith from Sanjo, Tomo Matsumura-san. He trained up in Yoshikane, like we mentioned earlier, under the older fellow that used to be there. And so he makes that Sanjo style of blade where it's a little thicker up top, got a little more weight to it. But because he works at Tojiro, he uses the Tojiro handle, which is made from, it's kind of like a resin-like material that's just extremely tough, grippy, you know, just a nice plain Jane durable handle. But he makes these stunning blades. Like, just look at that.
It's cool. His forge, like the shop that he works in.
Yeah.
So they built this really nice workshop. I have a lot of time for Tojiro.
It kind of looks like the where Hannibal Lecter would make knives.
Tojiro is an incredible company. They make really great stuff, and they've got some great vision, which explains why their knives are so popular. And they've got this team of blacksmiths that are doing hand-forged knives, and that's the Tojiro Atelier series. And they padded the room that the forging is in, like full-on button-down padding, like where some crazy person would go. And why do they do that? Well, because forging knives is really loud. And what a nice thing to do. What a nice
very
thought.
Considerate of their makers.
Yeah, I might not have made it white to start with, but that's what they went with.
It's gonna be very gray from all the steel dust.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he works with a team of young apprentices, including Sayaka-san. There's a few women on his team, which is, you know, women are pretty uncommon in knife making to an extent, but extremely uncommon in the actual forging.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of moving things into the future by having a more gender diverse workshop. But he's got a great team of apprentices who are all kind of learning their own skills and going to help populate the Sanjo blacksmithing trade in the future.
They got a great vision there. If you're ever in Sanjo, although I think they might be in Tsubame.
Do you have the hand-forged version of the Atelier as well? There was the hand-forged one as well.
Well, this one's hand forged.
The garage sale version of it.
Oh, like with the Japanese style handle.
Yeah.
They are in-store only.
Yeah.
So you can buy them online now because the in-store stock is now on the website, but we can't show you.
Yeah, if you're ever in the area where Tojiro is, they actually built their whole new workshop is built like a museum. So you can just go there on a tour. I'm sure there's hours and stuff, but it's not just like they have to go and take people and make a phony museum. It's actually the whole workshop is built for people to go through on display. So if you're ever in Japan, go check it out.
Yeah,
it's very cool.
I want to go there. It looks very cool. All right, I went a little nuts just because there's a lot of cool stuff I want to talk about. Spoon Monkey asked best bang for the buck this garage sale, so I'm going to do a speed round. First up, these just showed up. If they're not already sold out, these are the Bright M11 Pro. This is a tiny little Deba for $90. You could do small fish, you could do birds, you could debone a mouse if you had to.
I feel like you could gut stuff with this, in the way.
It'd be a great gutting knife, because it's short.
When you hold the gutting knife like this, because you're trying to just open things without piercing the guts, that would be amazing. It's got a really, really hollow ground to it, so you'd have a wicked, wicked sharp edge on that.
Yeah. And it's not super hard steel, so it'll probably be easy to get an edge back on. 'Cause
Totally.
all the hair and stuff is gonna dull it really quick.
Yeah.
Next up, I'm actually pretty surprised we still have this guy. This is, I would say, the prettiest of the Tsunahisa knives. The fairest maiden in all the garage sale. This is just a really stunning knife that is 160 Canadian dollars. Normally 202, 20% off. Nice burnt oak handle there. You've got like those gorgeous Damascus layers, a little bit of
This is Christmas
Nashiji.
present all over the place. Even if the Christmas present is for you.
This might be the best gift knife we have in stock right now. Next up, this guy is only $60 left. The Seki Kanetsugu Miyabi Ishin sold out very fast, except for this little slicer. It's like, what, maybe a 210 millimeter Tsujihiki. Great little carving knife for just like at-home use, or if you're on a line. You know, a lot of people, you see a lot of like French chefs actually using a slicer like this on the line a lot, even for like cutting chives and stuff.
Yeah, you want a knife that's better than a Victorinox?
This guy's $45. It's from Tojiro. This guy is also from Tojiro. It's $89. Probably a good pizza or a watermelon knife. They call this their multi-purpose knife or multi-purpose nakiri.
I mean, what couldn't you cut with that?
I don't know. We could do that Goodfellas scene with the garlic.
You could do that thing where there's that like hacks I learned working in kitchens, and the guy puts all the cherry tomatoes in between
the
two
cheek bend.
plates,
Yeah.
and then cuts it. Which
That's like the only kitchen hack I actually like.
they wouldn't all be cut the same way though. You'd have to stand them all up properly.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm from a different place.
I think so, yeah. This, yes, best bang for the buck. I've got a couple.
There is a lot of bang in here.
There's a lot of bang and a lot of bucks too. But this is a good bang for the buck because it is another one of one from Masashi-san. He was making a 240 millimeter Tsujihiki, and he broke off the tip, and he shot Naoto a text message and said, "Do you want to buy this?" And Naoto said, "Yes, please don't put a handle on it." So he sold it to us without a handle. Naoto-san put on a really stunning burl wood
What
handle.
a story.
I know,
It has
right?
twists, it has turns, and here it is in
love it.
front of you.
And if you like the custom handles, but you don't like the wacky colors, this is a really elegant kind of earth tone. You got some nice browns, some nice grays, some cream colors, some black. Very
These are
tasteful.
regular inventory.
And lastly, people ask often, why don't you sell knives made in North America? And often that's because the guys in North America don't have the high-tech equipment that lets them make knives as quickly as the Japanese guys. And so you get a knife that's pretty comparable quality at a way higher price tag because they had to do a lot of that work by hand because they don't have spring hammers and stuff. So this is made by Hudson Torrens, HT. He's from Calgary, Alberta. He has been studying at Knifewear, and by studying I mean coming in and asking us questions for 4 years, basically asking us how to make his knives better and higher performance. And we've helped him get to where he is now. These are $450 for a Gyuto, which is pretty comparable with a lot of like high-end handmade stuff, and they work really well. I doubt his stuff will be this affordable for very long because he puts a crazy amount of work in. He hammers them with his arm and a hammer. That is how he hammers them.
Yep.
He's nuts. They are kind of inspired by Sanjo style knives. They've got that thicker blade with a nice taper down to the tip. They taper down to the edge really nicely. Kevin just bought one for himself for his own collection. And he is a pretty discerning knife owner.
Well, one, I would tell you I would not get into an arm wrestling match with Hudson.
No.
I suspect he is pretty strong.
He's 21 and he's got one arm that looks like Popeye's.
Two, I saw him this afternoon at the store before I got here. And so you may not have known this, but Nigara came and visited us. Go Yoshizawa from Nigara was here, and they did some forging in the parking lot of the brewery next door to our
Highline
store
Brewery.
here. And Hudson was there because he lends us some of his tools to help us do this kind of stuff. And so he and Hudson and Nigara made a giant Nigara Yanagiba. And at the end of that thing, Yoshizawa-san gave it to Hudson and said, "Now you finish it." We saw it on Monday when he was here, and it needed a lot of work. And I saw it today, and holy, it has had a lot of work. In fact, he said he's put in 30 hours on that knife.
Yeah, he's been stone polishing. I mean, it was kind of a knife when he got it. You know, Yoshizawa-san had taken a big stack of steel and hammered it down and created this beautiful billet, and then he hammered that into a Sakimaru shape. But it was still, like, the edge was still a couple, 2 or 3 millimeters thick from being
Way too
sharp. The whole blade was super thick. There was no convex or concave on the backside because it's a single bevel. No polishing had been done, so he has been grinding the hell out of it, hand sanding, hand polishing on whetstones. He's going to come in and get some like tutelage from Naoto on hand polishing.
And he's made a handle for it.
And he made a handle.
And he uses ironwood.
Yeah.
And he makes brass collars.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's
crazy.
It's pretty stunning.
Yeah.
I think we might need to let Nigara have the first shot at ordering that knife. Maybe Yoshizawa-san wants to buy it back. I know when he was here, he bought himself a Hado knife because he was fascinated by the grind.
Yeah, you don't see that often, like Japanese knife makers studying other people's work, but it's smart. Like, that's how it should be. And that's the cool thing about Hudson is he has been coming into Knifewear and studying the work of like 30 plus different knife makers for the past 4 years. And this kid is like a nerd when it comes to steel and knife making. So he's really been looking at the details, and his work has impressed Naoto Fujimoto at Knifewear, Go Yoshizawa of Nigara Hamono, and Masashi Yamamoto of Masashi Yamamoto. So he's impressed one very discerning knife buyer and 2 master blacksmiths so far. So he's pretty good at what he does. Alrighty. Somebody asked about a camping knife, and I'm just going to give you an appetizer because what you should do instead is go to our sister store, either in Calgary, Ken of Inglewood, or go to kenofinglewood.com and ask them for help. But I do a bit of camping myself, and if you want to get one to start with, as long as you're not going to be like splitting firewood with it, this little Helle spider knife is made in Norway. It's great quality steel, really nice hard steel, but not too hard.
Yeah,
it's what's called
12C27, I think.
12C27, yeah. That's a Scandinavian steel, Scandinavian grind, also called a Scandi grind. So it's pretty thick at the edge compared to most Japanese knives. And that's because you're going to be cutting like wood with this and maybe deboning something that you hunted. And they're very good at both of those things. That's what I use mine for.
Or in my case, being very hungry.
You just hold it and you think about how hungry you are?
Yeah, well, my hunting is not such that I get to cut anything. Yeah.
Me neither yet, but
whenever I go fishing, Kevin reminds me it's called fishing, not catching.
Yeah, there you go. The Helle Spider, great knife to start with. I think it's $80 Canadian, but you can go down the whole rabbit hole. There's a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, go see our friends at Kent of Inglewood, kentofinglewood.com. Please say hi for us. They're right next door to our shop here in Calgary. We see them all the time. They're wicked. We used to carry all these like crazy things at Knifewear too, like pocket knives and folding knives, hunting knives, axes. And so one day we decided to kick it out and make it its own store. Nathan ran it for several years, and now our pal Jillian's there doing a great job. Frankly, turning it into an absolutely amazing gift shop. There's really cool blankets there right now. She's got some amazing books.
Yeah,
and it really
cool, like old-timey looking flashlights and lanterns.
Oh,
The
yeah.
boxes are back there, actually. They should show up right away.
Yeah,
They're
and so
awesome.
it's a great shop. And it kind of really seems to appeal to a lot of people that like the regular kind of Knifewear stuff that we're into. Lots of beard care products, shaving stuff. It's geared towards dudes for sure.
It's like Knifewear for people that either groom or go outside.
So everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. What Legion style do you prefer, Charminator? I assume we're talking about Chaos Space Marine Legions, in which case I'm going to say Night Lords are the coolest. I also like Emperor's Children.
What are you talking about?
Jacob, what about you?
What, sorry?
Well, they asked what Legions we prefer, and I assume they meant Chaos Space Marine.
Do you have any idea what he's saying?
I do.
Yeah, he's more of a Warhammer nerd than I am.
I'm a big fan of the Salamanders, I will say.
Right.
Yeah.
Are regular Space Marines called Legions, though? I thought it was only the Chaos that were called Legions.
Well, they're called chapters.
Okay. That sounds pretty heretical to me, buddy.
Speaking of nerds, I don't know if we have
like
any
the
of
Black
these
Legion
left, but...
Oh, we do have a bunch of these left.
Regions.
Oh, regions! Well, if you could write the letter R, that would help.
Just
Sound out your favorite Space Marine chapter and or Legion in the comments below. I think we... Oh, up! We gotta do top down. It just wants to focus on me.
Yeah, who doesn't? You handsome devil.
I was gonna say, it's because it's programmed that way, but...
Yeah, who's the one who programmed it? You.
I'm not Sony, man.
Look at this. These are super fun. Kevin was just in Japan. Niigata was where he was when he got these because, you know, Niigata is such a cool place, and they have made these cards called the Guardians of the Artisans. So they've got all these Niigata craftspeople whose names are written here in Japanese.
Yeah, and they're like craftspeople, tradespeople. I think one of them is like a financial person.
One of them's the local dog walker.
That's my favorite one.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So they're collectible. There's a bunch. There's like several hundred in total. You can play a game with them supposedly.
Okay, these are fun. So you can order these with your order. They're fun little playing cards of sorts.
So back to Charminator's question and actually answering it. What region's style do you prefer? I do really like the Sanjo stuff. I don't like knives that are super light. It's personal preference. But I like knives that cut like they're really thin. And so Sanjo gives you weight with that thin edge. Not too delicate also because I'm pretty heavy-handed. I also like anything out of Takafu Knife Village pretty much is pretty phenomenal.
I like them all. That's why I have so many, like 45.
Makes sense.
Something that happens to me every time, though, I always talk about this, how I like to do dumb things where I'll cut, make a pot of soup and I'll have to cut 5 onions and 4 carrots and things and stuff. And then I'll get 5 knives out and I'll, compare them as I'm cutting. More tactics just always win for me. And they're from their own region, and there's no other knife makers really there.
I use my 240 Gyuto from Moritaka a lot.
A lot?
Yeah, I just thinned it out a touch recently because it was pretty old and pretty rusty, and cleaned it up, thinned it out, and
I'm really looking forward
sharp.
to Manaka coming back online because I would love a Manaka Gyuto. I also have been really into the Ryusen Blazin Gyutos because
the Ryusens are so
they're
nice.
shorter and they're SG2 powder stainless. They're gorgeous.
So we have 2 new lines from Ryusen. I figured I'd use that to segue into something I wanted to talk about because I don't own a Ryusen knife yet, and it might be next.
Like we're not all here talking about what you want to talk about in the first place.
I
I pretty
much planned this.
You
Yeah.
run this
I
show.
run this shit.
We're doing what you're telling us to here.
So we have, this is a line that came out, probably 2 years now. This is the Okokuryu. They're all named after different kinds of dragon. I think Okokuryu means shining black dragon.
It just makes me think of Strange Brew every time.
Yeah?
Sorry, that's bad. Dating myself, first of all. But yeah, no, look at these things. They're ridiculous.
They're so cool. Fit and finish is out of this world with these guys. They're beautiful. They feel great. They cut like absolute crazy. That's the new one, the Guren Hiryu, I believe. Hiryu.
I do.
I don't remember what that means.
Do you know what I like about their Damascus is that there is just this really subtle texture on it, more so on this guy. And I remember that Saji, you get these usually, or not Saji, I forget his name. Masami Asai, used to make this really beautiful SG2 knife, one that my dad actually has. And this just subtle texture in the Damascus, like nothing sticks to it. There's no resistance. It's so beautiful. And this knife is even prettier. And the other thing, like we don't really talk about this much with handles here, something that Ryusen does with their handles, I don't know if you can really see it here.
Oh, yeah,
but
the taper.
Tapers towards the blade and gets wide at about a quarter of the way down. And then it, again, I'm trying not to stab the computer screen here, it again tapers back towards the end of the handle. And that's kind of where it's going to flare inside your palm. And I just really like considerate details when people think about the end user. These guys have done an amazing job putting these knives together. Yeah, I'm in love.
Yeah.
I'm in love.
Drew was asking about the Hudson Damascus versus lighter Damascus. I wonder if Drew's asking about comparing the 2 Damascus knives we have from Hudson. If so, one of them is in the Calgary store, but you can see it on our website. And I think we have a photo of this guy up as well, but I'll show you the close-up. Now, personally, I'm more interested into the like acid etched dark Damascus, which would be the other one, which is available online. But this is also very stunning. And Hudson laminates all the steel himself to get that Damascus pattern, so it's truly unique. It's really, really wild. I love how much variation there is in the height because his blades are entirely forged by hand, for the most part, he does use a press sometimes, and he probably did to get the forge weld to stick on this guy, but he would have hammered it out by hand from there. And so you get way more variation than a lot of stuff because of all those hammer blows that just kind of spread those steel out at different points in different ways. I do love this one compared to the dark one, that combination you get between the really rustic forged scale that kind of creeps into the shiny parts of the blade, and then the it kind of looks like the ocean washing up against like rocks or something. You know, it's pretty awesome. I think I like this one more now.
I'd like to just point something out with Hudson, and the reason why he's hammering stuff out with his arm and a sledgehammer. It's not for anything other than the fact he is absolutely bootstrapping this together. Let's keep in mind
it's him in his mom's garage.
He's just finished high school. This is his job, right? He's not working at some place so he can pay his bills. He is freeloading at his parents' house, and he is making this work. He is putting a ton of his effort and focus into this. It's really impressive.
Most of his free time making knives or learning about knives or talking about knives.
He's a 20-year-old kid who, to me, is so dedicated to what he's doing. He's really engaged in what he's doing. He's super nice. He's super honest and
extremely
earnest.
Humble. Just wants to learn.
And I think the more of his knives that people buy, the more we'll see from him. Right? He just needs those dollars to build up his shop and buy more tools.
And that's really why we're carrying his stuff for two reasons. One, we're extremely impressed.
Yeah.
And two, we want to help him build. Like, we want to help him get to the point where he can afford that bigger sander or that machine for heat treating or that.
Well, I think
eventually maybe he wants to get like a power hammer or something.
We're doing it because we like him.
Yeah. He's a really great kid. We also so we'll have that custom Nigara collaboration with him coming out soon-ish. And then, stay tuned for other stuff from him because he's always making cool stuff. Somebody's asking about the Haruki Kokusen versus Senko. I don't have either of these on hand, so maybe we can switch back to camera one there. But these are two different shapes of Kurosaki knife. Now, the Senko is made from stainless steel. SG2, I believe.
Yep.
The Kokusen is... I'm just going to look it up because honestly, my memory is failing me today. We're out of stock of that guy, but that's the newest line from Kurosaki-san. And it's got that darker finish.
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
Semi kind of Kurochi.
It's got like a little brassy look to the finish of it.
It does. It's really
It's
interesting.
like a light gray kind of Kurochi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steel gray?
Yes.
Can we say steel gray? Does that make sense?
Could, yeah.
Yeah.
It is... Okay, so it's Agami Super Blue with stainless steel cladding. So, I mean, they're going to have pretty similar edge retention. If you want to try a carbon steel knife, Agami Super is definitely a good way to get started because it does not rust easily. It is carbon steel, but I don't think I've really ever rusted mine unless I left. Like, I have a Shiso Petty that I'm kind of bad to, and I've let it air dry on my counter, and that's rusted it, kind of, and that's it. If you just use it and clean it in a reasonable amount of time, it's very low maintenance.
Is he doing that sort of drop tang that he's doing with the rest of his knives on the Kokusen?
Yeah, I'll show you.
So what I'm talking about is like...
We'll bring up a photo since we don't have the actual knife to show you. Yeah.
When you look at most knives, the tang of the blade runs through the handle and straight across the spine. Kurosaki is doing this thing where he gets to here and he drops the knife down. Actually, this the Guren Hiryu from Ryusen does the same kind of thing.
So does this.
Well, that's a Kurosaki Senko right there, right? So you see this little drop here, and that's a nice little feature. Effectively makes the blade taller without it being bigger.
Or heavier.
Yeah, without being heavier either. So if you got a big hand and you want a little more cutting board clearance, and when you do this kind of thing, so I really like it on the slicers because it gives you this wicked feeling. Like it creates like a curve to the spine of the blade. Even if the blade is actually straight, most of the Kurosaki spines are straight. A little bit of curve to it. But yeah, so it just has this really wicked feeling. To me, that's one of the standout differences with the Kurosaki knives, is that he's really got this spine curve, or it drops down from the handle. It really makes them different. Kurosaki's like, everyone loves Kurosaki. His knives are incredible. The texturing is always cool. He's really into coming up and designing different looks, making different hammers, so he can get different looks. That's one of his signatures. Usually with a really sweet Kiritsuke kind of a tip, but he tends to cut it on a pretty sharp angle. And like we were saying earlier, I think his knives just look fast.
Yeah. All right. Well, keep the questions coming. It's 2:30. Wow. We are here with the Knifewear Fall Garage Sale late arrival and wrap up live stream. Earlier today, we talked about the new Brighto knives that just came in from Japan. Imagine that. There we go. These are a new series that we just got. I think Kevin bought everything they had on hand there. So they got some super flexible knives for salmon and hamon. They got some big bread knives and brisket slicers, and some little tiny debbas as well. The Knifewear Garage Sale runs until November 10th at the end of the day. It's running in our stores in Toronto, Ottawa, Calgary, Edmonton, and Vancouver, as well as online at knifewear.com, and there should be a link down in the description somewhere if you want to go check it out. But yeah, ask questions if you need help finding a new knife. If you just want to know more about knives, if you're a first timer, or maybe you're super experienced, we're kind of covering all experience and skill levels today. Yep. Yeah.
We also do this garage sale again in the spring. What are we going to do? Probably May.
Around the May
16,
long weekend here in Canada.
Yeah, it's usually ends up on one side of the May long weekend.
Yeah.
Because kind of the end of February or March, Kevin or Naoto or both of them, pack up and head to Japan to go and visit with folks again. Rumors have it Kevin's working on another book or another version of a book. He was just there interviewing a ton of new blacksmiths.
I heard it might be more than one book.
And yeah, I think he's going to try and do a slightly different format. So I think he's doing that because you know what I know about writing books? Nothing, other than the fact it's really hard.
Yeah.
And I think it takes a lot of time. So
Yeah.
I think instead of doing it the hard way, I think he's going to try and do it a way that makes it come to life.
Doesn't almost kill him.
Well, that's the thing is it's got to come to life. That's the point of it. So he's working on writing another part of the book here. He'll be back there, I'm sure, at some point again in the spring, and doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
We find stuff, we meet new people, and part of business, you make friends with people, and you make friends with people by buying a bunch of their stuff. And then he comes back and says, hey, I bought all this stuff, and we go, oh God, what are we going to do with it? But we don't say that anymore because we have the garage sale, and this is what we do with it. And It's a lot of fun for us. I hope it's fun for you. I hope you find yourself sweet deals. That's what we try to focus on, aside from cool and unique stuff.
It started out as one suitcase. I think like 11 knives or 12 knives the first time.
12 knives, yeah.
And now it is more than that. We get as much cool and new stuff as we can, and just a lot of great deals. It might be stuff we've had before, but just at a crazy good price, or whatever, cool stuff. Yeah, and
amazing.
I don't know if you know, there's this holiday coming up in like a month and a half. Usually you give gifts around that time of the year. So if you need a gift, now might be the time to find one. Yeah, I got a couple things this time around. We'll see if I get them, if Santa brings them to me, but maybe I might just have to get them for myself. All right, Spoon Monkey wants to know about heavy stainless 210 Gyutos. These are the heaviest ones I could find from the garage sale.
Nathan, this isn't a Gyuto, this is a Kiritsuke.
It's a Kiritsuke Gyuto.
Kiritsuto. Yep. A little bit heavy. SRS 13, powdered stainless. I think this knife is amazing. It's one of those knives that it's real simple looking. But you know what? If you're worried more about making fancy food than having a fancy knife, the Tsunihisa ni... Sorry, I need to flip it over. Nijiroku is a phenomenal choice. This is a steel that holds its edge a very long time, cuts very smoothly. It's a finely polished blade, but I'll be honest with you, it just has enough texture that it slips right through food as you're cutting. And then the ZDP Zuika, that's going to be up there too. As a 210 Gyuto, you know what? I wouldn't call it heavy. I wouldn't call either of these heavy, but you know what? Not a lot of Japanese knives are.
Where did that Tojiro Atelier that we were talking about a couple
Just
of
on
times?
the corner, yeah.
Yeah.
No, Spoon Monkey, I think you know what you're getting into here, but yeah, Nathan is right. These are kind of the heavy or hefty-er feel.
Within the confines of what we got for the garage sale. Otherwise, we got lots of other stuff if you're looking for something.
I would say that this Hado, the blue #1 Damascus, that's got more to it. It definitely, like, it's got, in a weird way, it might weigh the same, but it's definitely got more density. Kind of when you hold it, it's dumb. I know I can't feel density, and I can't throw light, and I know I say dumb stuff, but you know what? This feels heavier. I think I know what you're trying to say. Oh, is this still here?
Yeah, that's I don't know why I put that note there, but there's some stuff that I'm surprised we haven't. I'm very surprised we have anything left from Manaka-san, because people are clamoring to get his stuff right now, because he is not making knives right now. Yeah,
Manaka's very cool. He was really catching his stride there. Tragically, his forge burnt to the ground, took part of his house with it. He's trying to rebuild. We did some great fundraising. We helped put together just over 30,000 Canadian dollars to help him out. Got him about halfway to his goal. And he makes stunning, stunning knives. He's working in a region currently where there aren't any blacksmiths and there's not a lot of industry like this, so he's doing it all by himself. He's forge welding everything. He's making the Damascus. He's doing it all by himself. And he is absolutely phenomenal at his craft, and he's turning out really beautiful products. This is a Damascus. This is from his series called N, so this is the Manaka N, E-N-N. It's a 210 millimeter Gyuto. There's a bit of heft to it. Beautiful Damascus. Very foggy Kasumi finish. Look at that. Just $2,400 with a custom handle. You should get that one. Yeah, get that one. Hamza wants to know about a workhorse bunka Nathan's given me here, the Yoshimi Aogami Super Kurochi Tsuchime. This one's really cool. It's got this really sweet pattern on it. It's like the chevron Tsuchime sort of stamped into the face of the blade. Yeah, it's going to break up some resistance, so when you're doing that workhorse kind of work, it's not going to slow you down. It's got a nice bevel. It's pretty even. It gets thin behind the edge, so when you're blasting through a bunch of things like red peppers or whichever, it's going to be nice and smooth and thin. Really good weight to it, balanced right on my forefinger here. Curve at the choil, polished at the spine and the choil. It's really comfortable. Like if you got a workhorse, says to me you're going to use it a lot, and smoothing out some of those rough edges can be a nice feature. Especially you start cutting, your hands get a little wet, you're washing your hands a bunch, that roughness can like really wear on your skin. Aogami Super is a wonderful steel. Like Nathan said, it can tarnish a bit, but it's pretty hard to make it rust. But it does do an amazing job holding its edge. Yeah, I think he's nailed it here. This Aogami Super clad with stainless, so it's not even going to tarnish a lot. It's $475. You could go a long ways on this knife. That is a beauty. Really nice rosewood handle too, and Yoshimi Kato, guy whose knives we've sold for years and years. We know him quite well, and he is more than incredibly capable at building knives. So, yeah, that's a winner. So that is the Yoshimi Aogami Super Kurochi Tsuchime Rosewood Bunka. And if you wanted a workhorse sushikiri, we have one here. So this is a cool knife. I don't know the last time I saw one in person. This thing is designed for you who are working at a restaurant making lots of sushi rolls, and you cut your sushi rolls into 6 pieces. Sometimes if you've got some shrinkflation, you cut them into 4. And yeah, that's what this knife is designed for. It's designed to cut your rolls of maki. I suspect you could do a lot of other stuff with it. It's quite thin at the edge, not terribly thin. It does have this beautiful never-ending curve to it. And I think if you want to chop a bunch of herbs, this thing would be pretty fun. white carbon steel number 2, so completely carbon steel. Beautiful. That's pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah, you did the workhorse bunker, hey?
I did. Yeah, what a good pick, though.
I think so.
Yeah, I think you nailed it with that one.
I did a ton to choose from because most of them are sold out, but I think I did pretty good.
Masashi makes his own Damascus steel, if you didn't know that. We might have heard this name, Masashi. Masashi's this guy we're big friends with. I'm going to turn my phone off here.
Yeah, he was here on Monday if you tuned into our Monday live stream.
Yeah.
An exceptionally skilled knife maker.
Watching him work was incredible, how quickly and how accurately he put stuff together. And, you know, we had a great conversation later that night where he was talking about he wants to make Skyline. He does not want to make Ferrari. He can make Ferrari. Mm-hmm. He can make incredibly beautiful things, like this Damascus Yanagiba. But he wants to produce more because he wants to get more knives to people.
Yeah.
He like he said, I could do the really, really fine work of those knife makers whose knives you can barely ever get because they stand there and they only hand sand every knife to never overheat it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He's like, I could straight up make Shigefusa, but it's not what he wants to do. He wants to make really beautiful knives that blow your socks off, but you can still drive them every day.
You also, like, you might not know this just from looking at them, because he does have some knives that have higher price points, but he doesn't make them for the money, and he doesn't charge, I would say he doesn't charge what they're worth in terms of labor. Like, we kind of have the inside scoop. I might know somebody that works in his workshop, and I've heard just how much work goes into making those knives, and how much of a perfectionist he is, and then you get, like, a crazy high performance Santoku for $300, and they're pretty nuts. Like he really just cares about the end user and quality and the tradition. He also really cares about furthering the tradition of knife making in Japan and in his region.
I wouldn't want to work for him.
I'm not.
He's a very, very lovely human. He's a very nice person. I suspect with his exacting perfection that working for him, it would be hard. One day you would have a day where he'd go and look at you and what the work you did and said, good work today. And that would happen once every 13 years, and you would be on cloud 9.
Yeah. And I don't get the impression he ever gets upset or raises his voice. He's got some standards.
Yeah. So we got, right in front of me here, we haven't really mentioned this yet. This is a single bevel Yanagiba that he's made with the Sekimaru tip. What a beautiful looking knife with Damascus that he, of course, has made. It's a beautiful white carbon number 2 for $1,000. This is the Masashi Damascus Black Sekimaru Takohiki. So it's called a Takohiki.
How can someone buy that, Mike?
Well, here at knifewear.com, we're having our garage sale today. You can go onto the website at knifewear.com. Jacob was just like, how does somebody buy that? I'm like, they go to the website, buddy. What do you mean? Then I realized what he wanted me to do is tell you how you could buy it.
Open your wallet, dumbass.
So you go online and you buy it at knifewear.com. You can search Masashi Takohiki, T-A-K-O, not T-A-C-O. And taco means octopus. And for some reason, there's this idea that that's what you would use to cut octopus. And you sure can. But do you know what's this crazy thing that I've learned? Is you can cut other stuff with it too.
What?
Yeah, it'll cut more than just octopus.
Crazy, man. It's heresy.
I'm not. I get kicked out of other knife shops, I'm sure.
All right. Somebody was asking about Sentan. Speaking of a knife you can use to cut a lot of stuff, somebody was asking about a Sentan Chinese cleaver. This is really cool. This is made in China, where, you know, most Chinese cleavers are made, but it's made with Japanese steel.
Oh.
So they wanted to kind of combine the best of both worlds. A lot of people love the Chinese cleaver for its versatility. You know, it's a bigger knife, but it's still a size, especially this guy, I think 200 millimeters, can be wielded by most people, you know, with a little bit of practice.
Absolutely.
But the Japanese steel, you know, keeps an edge beautifully. It's clad in stainless steel, so it's not super high maintenance.
What?
Yeah.
Do we know how much this
It's
costs?
kind of thick behind the edge, so it's not too fragile. It's not
And
crazy.
do we know what type of steel this is?
I believe it's Shirogami #2 clad in stainless, but I could be completely wrong.
Really?
I could be totally.
Nathan, you might have just sold me a knife. This is very cool. What?
Okay, I did just tell you, knife. It's 185 Canadian dollars.
Ring me through.
Oh, I actually got it all right. Wow, Shirogami #2 clad in stainless steel. There you go. And it's like pretty thick at the edge, so it's not gonna.
You're pretty thick at the edge. Sorry, I have a bad tendency to do that. So
it's not gonna
cool.
be super fragile, or you can hang it up a little more and not worry about it.
Wow, I just imagine like something like green onions. You know those slippery little suckers with all the little layers, and sometimes it just is like that's the thing that tells you how dull your knife really is.
Yeah, you want that toothy edge.
This kind of steel mo, man, this would be quite fun to cut a bunch of stuff with.
Bad day to be a bundle of green onions.
Okay, Nathan. Not. No, we're not. Feed us things.
I mean, he's feeding us questions, but
So we've got a Satoshi Nakagawa here, or Nakagawa. Oh yeah, okay. You know, sometimes you look at a knife and you're like, that's just a knife. And then you look just a little bit closer, and then the knife reveals itself to you, which I will attempt to do by slowly waving it around in front of this camera to see if I can show you. Because it's like hidden in there like a little mystery. And the mystery is that this is like incredibly beautiful hand-folded steel. There we go. There we go. Do we see it? Can I get a thumbs up from my man on the back of the camera here? Down. He says down. How about now? Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Yeah. Look at that. So this guy took over this forge. He has since named it after himself, Nakagawa, and originally I believe it was Satoshi. He works very fast. He puts out incredibly perfect and beautiful knives. Honyaki is one of the things that he likes to make. This is not a Honyaki. This is the blue #1 Damascus. It's a 240 mil Gyuto. It's $828. It's gorgeous. His skill is incredible. When he makes this Honyaki, which is a single piece of steel, it's technically about the most difficult thing to forge. And the failure rate at the very last second when there's no coming back from it, and you've done the majority of all of your work and then it breaks, is often pretty high. And his failure rate's incredibly low. He's really got his shit figured out. I mean, things figured out. Sorry, I'm just sort of Googling this knife now.
Isn't it as high as like 3 out of 4 failure rate for a lot of guys?
I don't think it's quite that high. No. I think you'd probably give up.
Been a myth I heard.
But I think it's like, 3 in 10 is pretty common that they fail.
And his is like 1 in 10 or something.
Yeah, or less.
And he does Mizu Honyaki too, which is quenched in water, which is the hardest kind, like with the highest failure. Because water is just, I can't remember now. It's wet. But it's going to evaporate, and there's going to be inconsistent because the water around the knife is going to like keep evaporating off, whereas an oil or something like that.
It's like denser or whatever.
Yeah, and it
specific heat capacity.
Dissipates the heat difference. Yeah,
science.
Smart.
There's science things that happen. Laser beam Kiritsuke. Is that the question for Disco Realty? Disco Realty. Well, I've got a 240, and your question is for 210s. But I'm going to show you this 240 as well. Kiritsuke are a cool knife. They really started out as a single bevel, and it's kind of a knife that bridges the gap between a Yusuba and a Yanagiba. Those are two single bevel knives that are very traditional. Yusubas for vegetables, Yanagibas for slicing raw fish. And a Kiritsuke is a kind of squish between the two. So you get the length of the Yanagiba, a little bit taller like a Yusuba, a really nice straight edge, and this very cool cut-off tip. Now, these are not single bevels. These are double bevel, which means they're very functional for most of us in our Western style of cuisine, as the knife will cut straight. Single bevels go all over the place. They're quite a cool thing, but they're a little bit different to get used to. So these Kiritsuke, these two, this is the Sakai Kikumori Kikuzuki Kasumi Kiritsuki 240. It's very slender. It feels actually more like a 210 to be honest, also because it's likely measured from the machi at the handle. This is a beautiful knife, and it's a lot like a Kiritsuki because it's a little bit shorter, and it has that nice straight edge, although there is a bit of a curve to it. Versus this from Kurosaki, which I would call this, while it does have that cool angular tip to it, I think most of the time we look at this and this is a gyuto. And frankly, at some point, this would have been a gyuto, and they would have just cut the tip off. And that's where we get the K-tip, or Kiritsuke tip gyuto. So when you see those gyutos, you're going to get a taller heel. That's going to give you a knife that's going to be nicer if you're doing a lot of chopping. And with the Kiritsukes that are nice and straight along the edge, you get a knife that's really beautiful for slicing as well as for chopping. It's going to hit the edge will hit the cutting board all at one time. So if you're moving and you're putting some pressure behind it, you might find that a little annoying because it's going to bite into the cutting board. There'll be a lot of surface area to connect at one time. It will slow your cut down. I do think that this shallow blade, that is a 240, I would definitely consider it in the range of a 210 functionality-wise. It's got a really nice feel. These are, I believe, forged by Yoshikazu Tanaka. And
I'll have to double check.
or did I just
so,
lie?
yeah.
I didn't mean to.
No, I think you're right. That's the Kikuzuki Rin.
The
Kasumi.
Kikuzuki Kasumi, yeah. It's a really nice knife, and it feels great. Now we also have this Hado SG2 bunka. This is a little bit more gyuto, but it does have a really straight profile.
Yoshikazu Tanaka.
I was correct. So you're kind of in between the gyuto style and the Kiritsuke style with this. Still got that sweet tip. You have incredibly thin tip, incredibly thin blade. Wicked high performance. Nice tall bevel. A bevel that is tapered, angled, like everything is considered in every angle as they move through the process of grinding down the knife and getting the blade on it or the edge on it. That's what Hado does, is they just like deep dive, and they don't just like hammer it out. They are not the blacksmith. They are 100% focused on grinding the knife, and what you get is effing incredible.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Oof, I love my Hado knife.
If you're looking for a knife that you want to hammer away with, that might not be the best choice, the Hados. They're pretty delicate because they're so thin. And, enter these Tsunehisas. These are beautiful knives. They're Japanese by every definition. I love using these knives because they do the job you want it to. Mm-hmm. They're very dependable.
They're excellent workhorses.
And what we got here is between $200 and $275.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if Raphael was asking about 300 Canadian or 300 US dollars. A lot of people don't know that we are speaking in Canadian dollars because we are in Canada.
We are speaking in Canadian, yep.
But these are just a smoking deal. And like, you just want a knife that just kicks some ass and doesn't complain and doesn't break your budget, like, this is the way to go. And they're 20% off right now.
Yeah, Tsunehisha is not a knife that we carry on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. We get a ton at the garage sale, and they're
usually gone
by the end
of the
week.
week.
Sweet deal. SRS 13, wicked steel. You want to flip the camera around there, boy? Yeah, SRS 13. Eh, boy. This steel is, this knife is a knife. It has a tip, and it has a handle, and it has a face and an edge and a spine, and that's what you get. It's simple. Underneath the hood, though, you have a steel called SRS 13, which is powdered stainless steel. It is incredible. It will stay sharp longer than most things that you could imagine, and it is sharper than you think. These are very nice knives. Nice little taper here, polish on the spine, rosewood handle.
Yeah, really good attention to detail for the price point.
Nothing real flashy, but what you get is incredible performance. Now, if you're looking for something that is big, this is a 270, nice Western style handle.
Oh, did I grab a 270? Oops.
Yeah,
I thought it looked big.
I know, yeah, hammered.
I mean, why not?
Hammered
right?
tsuchime. Tsuchime means hammered. That's the texture that's put onto the surface or the finish of the knife.
Right now.
And yeah, this is a steel that's AUS 8, but we've got the cladding on it. AOSA, it's a great steel because it's not as delicate as some others, like this SRS 13. You know, every time, it's like so many things that as the performance goes higher, you know, the consequences of using it the wrong way gets higher.
Oh, I thought you were going to say diminishing returns, but yeah, absolutely. Like the fancier knife, the bigger a deal it is if you screw it up.
Yeah, it's like, but this thing's really expensive. Shouldn't I be able to cut a shoe in half, open a can, and then cut a tomato? Nope, that's the opposite of how that goes. What it means is it's very, 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 very good at doing a very limited amount of stuff.
I haven't had that conversation with my father-in-law. Next knife.
And so that was
forged a fire, and the knives are super tough, and you can cut a propeller. No, this is not that kind of.
This is the Sunihisa Nikyuju. That's the one that I was talking about. It's 270. You want to cut steaks? You want to cut big things? You want to like deal with turnips and big root vegetables?
You want a hot body? You want a Maserati?
Yeah, that's it right there.
You better get a Sunihisa.
Now, if you want something that's just like flashy, look at this. This is a Roku, Sunihisa Roku, AUS 10 steel, stainless steel. Like the AUS 8, a little bit harder, a little more, yeah, I guess, I don't know if it's right to say it's getting closer to the performance of VG10 or not, but we'll just say that and leave it there.
In my non-discerning experience, pretty close. Like an average person, I think, would find them pretty similar.
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes when you want to buy someone a gift, because say it's like, you know, their birthday or like Christmas or their graduation, you want to get them something that they open up and they go, wow! And they look at it and it's like really cool looking. And I think this Sunihisa Roku is really cool looking.
Yeah.
And then you get to tell them how to take care of it, and you don't have to say it's crazy finicky because it's stainless steel. Carbon steel is amazing, but sometimes that's like more than what people want to deal with, so we often shy away from that as a suggestion when it comes to a gift.
And there's even a knife like this, there's a bit more care involved than a lot of people realize.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to overload them with like, and you got to do this, and because you're going to forget half those things, right?
Yeah.
Like if you give somebody a gift and they don't put it in the dishwasher and they don't cut bones and that's all they remember about the maintenance, that's good. You want a stainless steel knife for those reasons.
So one of the things we do with all the knives that we carry here is we make care letters. There we go. A care letter is often written by this guy here named Nathan. And what we do on one side is we tell you the story of the knife and the knife maker. So the knife makers will have different series of knives. So it's about that series and the knife makers. Reminder here at the bottom, you get a free sharpening with every knife you buy at Knifewear. And if you chip your knife, it's a get out of jail free card too. On the back side, we have care information. More often than not, it's specific to the steel type in a general sense that if it's a stainless steel knife, it'll be directed towards that, or if it's carbon steel, it'll be directed towards that. Lots of do's and don'ts. Stuff about how to hone the knife. A lot of people think about sharpening a knife where you rub it on that steel rod or a diamond stick. We much prefer the ceramic rods. In fact, when you buy a knife, a ceramic rod is half price. And we do that because we just want you to get the right thing to take care of your knife. We have a black one, it's kind of a little bit finer. We have a white one, it's a little bit coarser. You know, if you're not going to do it very often and forget about it, get the white one. If you're a line cook, get the white one. If you are going to do this every single time you use a knife, get the black one, or get both. And use them gently, holding the knife at a 15-degree angle. I can give you a quick little demo since we're saying it out loud. I might as well show you. And it's simple. You just put the knife against the rod, you tip it out to 15-degree angle, which I tend to find by locating the edge of the guard, and then I just lower it down. I'm holding it in the air, so typically I would put it down on a surface, but the camera's not angled for that. And this is all you got to do. Listen, you don't have to swing it around. You don't have to be like Gordo and make sparks fly. You know, you're not showing off. Let your food show off. If you do this properly, your knife will get a nice clean edge. It will stay nice and sharp. It will hold its edge because you're cleaning it up. And, you know, it's kind of like we often say to people, it's kind of like brushing your teeth. It's a thing that you want to do daily. If you do it daily, your knife's going to hold an edge a long time. Frankly, you're going to do it when you forget and you try to cut a tomato and it bounces off the skin.
That's how often I usually do it. But if you do it more often, It's like Mexico, like brushing your teeth. The more you keep your edge in shape, the less you have to go see the dentist, which is us, the knife sharpener.
Yeah, then we put it on a hard abrasive stone, and we grind it down, and we create a new edge.
Remove a lot more steel. Not a lot of steel, but
Yeah.
way more than the rod does. And so the less you have to do that, the longer your knife lasts.
That's basically it. Yeah.
Yep.
Have we got any more questions there, boy?
We got a few more minutes today. If you got any last minute questions, pop them in the chat. Otherwise, we'll take off because we got to clean this stuff up before the weekend. But somebody did want us to compare 3 types of Chinese cleaver that we have.
Everybody's welcome.
That was Erwin. Erwin wants to know the difference between the Sentan Chinese cleaver that we were talking about, the CCK scraping knife, and the CCK mulberry knife.
So, mulberry, very nice and thin, like wicked, wicked thin. Very, very finesse knife. I wouldn't want to chop through bones with that, but I would deal with all sorts of vegetables and meat with it. It's beautiful, actually. It's really nice. It's a carbon steel blade, and it's a really good length.
It's one of those knives where even when it's not super sharp anymore, it's still going to feel sharp just because of how thin the blade is.
Yeah. So it's got a very, very much of a V kind of grind where it just comes down to that tip gradually. The scraping knife has got a little bit more strength to it, as it's got a bit more of a convex bevel where it tapers down. When you think of the cross section, I like to think of it like a bullet. However, this is also really quite thin. Obviously, we've got this really pronounced curve. I don't know about scraping. I see why it's called a scraping knife, and perhaps we're scraping hides or.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it refers to butchery, because I think the name literally translates to like stomach opening knife, but it's not a great product name, so we didn't include that on the website. But it refers to like large carcass butchery, basically.
Yeah, and when you are taking big pieces of fat off of something, or skin or hide or whatever, that long curve is nice as you do that sort of. You peel it back and carve through it.
I think if you like to like rock your knife through a big pile of herbs, like you think you want a mezzaluna, maybe you just get this guy instead because it's a little more multi-purpose and practical.
Absolutely, that feels great.
Do we have a Cow Kong chopper to get in there too?
Right, maybe. Let me check.
Now the Seitan here definitely feels thicker and heavier than the rest of them. This is a stainless steel jacket made in the Japanese method of sanmai, or 3 layers of steel. So we've got a layer of stainless steel on the outside and a layer of carbon steel in the core. One thing that does, aside, like we really focus on that benefit of that, is that it will keep from rusting, right? Because rust can be a pain, especially on such a big knife. The other thing that stainless steel does that carbon steel, it improves it against the carbon steel, is that it's more rigid. Carbon steel can be a little bit easier to bend. So if you crush a garlic clove with this, you would definitely bend the knife, and then you'd have to bend it back. Stainless steel is less likely to bend, although I wouldn't necessarily try crushing a garlic clove this way. I would crush it this way. That's a different video. But I think this one, the Seitan, feels a bit more robust. I know it's white carbon steel. I don't really know the type of carbon steel in the Chenchi keys, but...
Yeah, and I don't think they specify. It's just a softer carbon steel. It's going to be a bit softer than VG10.
Yeah.
So the Sentan's going to keep its edge probably twice as long.
Yeah.
Definitely a fair bit longer.
That Sentan's awesome. Now this is the Cow Kong chopper. This is the kind of thing that you like hit on the back with a hammer if you need to like break through a hip.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But it's not so thick that you can't also you could dice an onion. You can mince some ginger. It doesn't get it's not super thick at the edge.
If you wanted to cook and do a forearm workout, you could chop an onion with this thing.
You sure could, yeah.
I wouldn't want to chop a whole case of onions with that knife.
No.
But you would be really strong after, or have tendonitis.
It's like the cleaver that they use in the Instagram cooking videos, except it's good.
Yeah. Well, the thing that's great about this knife is it's big and it's hefty and it's strong, so you can literally pick it up and drop it and cut through stuff. If you're chopping up a barbecue duck or something.
And cut kindling if you
yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, for sure.
So, all right, we got any more there, Jacob? Are we all done?
We don't have any
Ken Kagura, no, unless we did have a hunting knife at one point, but it might be gone. I mean, he is retired, but much like Hayao Miyazaki, he has come out of retirement multiple times to make something new and beautiful. We got any Kagura hanging around? Yeah, no. We had an Usuba in the spring garage sale, which sold. We had a couple of hunting knives from him, but we might get stuff from him again. We might never see his work again. It's kind of up to him.
He's retired in that way that he's retired until he just does what he feels like. He doesn't do it for money or work or business anymore.
No.
He's just like now and again he fires up the forge and hammers out some stuff, and then
I'm tired of fly fishing. I'm gonna make some more knives.
yeah, well, and maybe that's it. Maybe he now and again needs a new boat. You know, it's like the Rolling Stones will go on tour again one day.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out, for watching this live stream, for watching our Monday live stream, for watching our Friday live stream. We've had record viewership over the past week, and that wouldn't be possible without all of you. Also, thank you all for shopping the sale and supporting us and allowing us to do
this is fun for us, and we wouldn't be able to convince the boss to let us keep doing this stuff if y'all didn't show up and support. So
yeah,
big thanks for sure. Thanks again to the people here too. You don't really see. You might actually see some of them in the background here. The blurred out warehouse folks. Yeah, we got some of the biggest knife nerds in town, and they're just shoving stuff in boxes.
YouTube star Nolan. Whoa.
Hey, oh, it's Nolan.
Mr. Hot Dog himself.
Yeah, we have an amazing group of people we get to work with. It makes life a lot of fun, especially since we're just working some days. And this sale's been such a great time. I hope everyone got great stuff. Have a great holiday. Hopefully we'll see you again. And in the very least, some of you will see again at the spring garage sale in May.
Yeah, if you need help, reach out to us online. You can message us on the website. You can shoot us a message on Instagram. I check it every single day, and I can help you out there. Email tv@knifewear.com or just hello@knifewear.com for our general help desk, and somebody can help you out. Especially if you have questions about your order or something more technical. I don't know how to do that stuff, so hello@knifewear.com, and Naomi or Ellie can help you out.
As best as they can.
Yeah, and if you have a suggestion for other live streams or videos you want to see, leave us a message down below in the comments. I want to try to do more live streaming again next year. We've been really busy, but I'd like to get back to it. So if there's something you want to see us do.
If you've got problems that you need answers to, you want to figure something out, or you want to make us do something wacky, like we try to suggest to do. We try to suggest to do dumb stuff, but sometimes we get kiboshed. And but if you tell us, then it's not just our idea. We're doing things for the customer, right? Then we must do it. So we'd love to have your fun ideas too.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, is that it?
Bye.
Bye.